Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the case.
That crap.
Dati mihi Anglican boy, for from sake. I didn't ask you to interrupt me.
Scratch all that, Paul. That was terrible. I apologize.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Doing a little bit of recovery myself. It was a rough night last night. It was crazy. I still am not used to using all 16 monitor views on my screen over there. Only one of those views is what you see, and I'm just... Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Prairie Girl. Alrighty. Let's get going here. It was a rough night. Oh my goodness, it was a rough night. We had storms come through last night, as you know, as we sort of got off the air once yesterday with the threat of tornadoes and all that. Last night, I'm trying to sleep, and we've got these storms, just the front that just keeps like wind just kicks up and rain and everything. 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm awakened by the wind that's just going. I'm like, what am I in like an air tunnel that's powering up? I'm awake and I'm looking outside and it starts to rain and everything. And I pull up my weather app. I kid you not. There was like nothing within 20 miles. Like the weather app was clear. I'm looking outside. It's coming down about like an inch every 10 minutes. Okay. It's pouring rain and the wind's just like kicking up. I'm like, the weather app is broken. Everyone went to bed and something's happening and I'll never know about it. So rough night, but, have not done a shingle count on the yard yet. We'll do that some other time. I'm sorry, I took the kids there in Raleigh today, so it's just me, just chilling. All right, welcome. Good morning. First of all, let's do this properly and welcome Jeremiah Jordan, who was first in chat today. Jeremiah, congratulations. I'm not sure if you knew, Jeremiah. I'm not sure if you knew that we like you to be first. I mean, somebody has to do it, right? We'd like you to be first, but let's turn that off as they're playing with the mics in court. But you might not like being first after finding out that we punish the person who is first in chat for your crime of breaking the silence of the morning by talking in chat. So yeah, that was you today, and ignorance is no excuse. So don't be I didn't know, and it doesn't matter. Everything IP related worldwide is now your responsibility until we go live again. So if you could just take care of that for us, that would be great, Jeremiah. And this goes on your permanent record as well. Barb, I am doing great. Hopefully all of you survived. There was some crazy weather. I mean, I like to complain a little bit about what we got, but it was not that bad, considering all things considered. So, all right. Let's see what we have. We have. Ooh, look at this. Adriel Hillis.
Happy birthday. You look good.
Got here for the Aaron Dean Trail. Almost an OG, but not quite. Oh, we're going to count it. OG. Thank you very much. Love it. We in Kentucky feel you. Yesterday was the first day of sun after almost a week of rain. We currently have massive flooding. You know what we have, Bolshevik Muppet? We have a freeze warning. Apparently it's going to get down to like 28 degrees tonight, which I was in shorts and a T-shirt yesterday, and it's getting cold. It's getting cold. All right, Aaron Dean was a long time ago. Yes, it was. Thank you, Amber and Samantha. And let's see what mods are here today, this morning. Amber and Samantha. 2 great mods. Thank you very much. Appreciate you both, y'all being here. And I think we've got some in the background. And Josh, there we go. There's Josh doing the hard work with the birthday song. Let's do this. Let's get the birthday song sung, so the people who are celebrating can actually eat cake, because you can't eat cake till you're sung to. That's one of the rules. And it goes like this. I'm gonna need some help singing today, because I'm a little bit groggy. It's not. I got maybe a good 5.5 hours of sleep, but I feel like I needed 6. Right? So it's not like I didn't sleep last night. But I could have used just that last little bit that I didn't get. So I'm going to need some help here on the birthday song. So everyone stand up, take a deep breath, shoulders back, project your voice to the back of the room, blend your voice with your neighbor. Warm up with me if you will. La 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 la. Hey Josh, can you retype it with squinty bubbles in there as well? We're going to see Teresa, Daisy Jones, Kathy S, Shannon, and squinty bubbles. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Teresa, Daisy Jones, Kathy S, Shannon, and squinty bubbles. Happy birthday to you. Did I miss anybody there? Got Daisy, Teresa, Daisy Jones, Kathy S, and Shannon, and then we added Squinty Bubbles, and I made Josh retype it for no reason whatsoever. Josh, thank you very much for that. To everyone who's celebrating their birthday today, happy birthday. Happy birthday. What is the sleep of which you speak? You do look good. You do look good. Happy birthday. Even Judge Fleischer agrees. I realize there are a million places you could be, a million people you could have celebrated with, but you chose to be here with us. The privilege and pleasure is ours. Hopefully we can return some of that joy that you brought us and return it to you. We do that first in the form of pancakes. Free pancakes at Denny's, IHOP, Village Inn, Waffle House, McDonald's, Tammy Dunlap's house, Andy's Grill, and Bob Evans. There we go. Now let the birthday shenanigans begin. Oh yeah, it's your birthday. Denny's stock now down 46% year to date. Way to go, RA. Hey, I do what I can. Do what I can. You know, everyone has a part to play, Greeners. You may not like mine, but I'm doing it. Hopefully you shorted it. 80s Music Man, I saw you sneaking in. Turn on the lights and all. Somebody's about to get a whooping. Brady B is already at the drums. Probably done some warm-ups already. Sun Young Jung, Sun Young Gung? I think it's Young. Thank you very much. Oh, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Brent. Happy birthday, dear Brent. Happy birthday to you. We hit Brent. Happy birthday to you. We'll try that again, full verse. Happy birthday to you. Drum solo. Happy birthday, dear Brent. You got a full verse. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Sorry, Brent. I felt like I cheated you out of a verse because I started mid-birthday, which means you didn't get one of the happies. I had to go back and get you a full verse. So happy birthday to all those who are celebrating, and hope you have a absolutely wonderful, wonderful day today. Oh, where are we? We are back in Michigan. We are back in Michigan, and we are back. It seems like forever since we've been here, and but here we are, and we are back in the triple threat trial. Everyone's trying to remember, scratch their head, and dig up their notes to say what was this again. Hey, Blaylock says, who is Tammy Dunlap and why do you get free pancakes there? I tell you, once you know, you know. She makes the best pancakes, and if I'm not going to tell you where she is, but if you found where she was, she would give you free pancakes. She's that type of person. I'm serious. I mean, I'm not. That's not something we just made up. You wouldn't lie about something like that. Sherry says, I consider you the Mystery Science Theater of live trials. Oh, man. Maybe I should just, well, I already do. I show you this view. You should just see the back of my head and I'll make comments the whole time. That'd be great. Apparently the state will be resting today. That's about where we think we are in the trial. Defense may have a couple days worth of witnesses. We know they've got at least one fire expert, and we'll see. Greener says, I think she's in Idaho. That cuts out 48 states, and one of them is massive. So, I mean, as far as just area goes, your search for Tammy Dunlap is much simplified. It's like a geocache, but the cache is pancakes and there's syrup involved. Let's see. Tammy normally pops in throughout the day. Let's see. Angelique says, I'm still waiting patiently for my birthday to come to virtually try pancakes at Tammy Dunlap's. Do we have more of her sons testifying today? We have two of them. We have two of her sons testifying today. The younger ones. The older son has testified, who is actually like what was it? A nephew? I think it was a nephew or a cousin. It was a situation where they sort of adopted him and raised him. And so the state has not arrested yet, but we expect them to. How reliable is a fire expert 20 years later? Good question. Good question. I'm trying to remember where I am on this case as far as guilt and innocence. It seems like every time I fill my head with another trial, which we've had, like we had Lori Vallow openings yesterday, and that's all I can think about right now. So that's going to be crazy. Selena K says the judge ruled that Corey Richards' trial will stay in Summit County. Okay, that means the date does not move. That's, I think, Selena. If you've heard anything else, let me know. But that's the good news. That means there's no change of venue. It's a beautiful venue up there too. I mean, that's where they had like the 2002 Olympics. It's a beautiful area. You're looking up in the mountains. There's ski jumps and ski runs all over. It's so pretty up there. All right. Getting on a plane soon. Come on. I'm going to be there in July. End of July. Actually, I'm flying in, and then I think my wife is renting me a little tiny car that I do not fit in. And by fit, I'm talking height. Okay, that's loud. If we can stop doing that, Court, that would be appreciated. It's just going to be for me and my gear, though. And I'm trying to push for like maybe an SUV rental because there's a little more headroom. I have a hard time driving on the freeway when every bump I feel in the road, I feel on the top of my head. That's my issue. What's with rental cars that are for short people? I mean, they're great. Short people need cars too. But the rest of us, don't give us a short person's car. Oh, let's see. Christy G, member for 14 months. Love this family. When do I hit OG status? Officially, it's at 20 months. But Christy, you've already got the G. And we just have to add one letter, and it's done. So it's not going to be hard. All right. Let's see. I don't remember the exact date on Corey Richards. Angelique, still trying to decide exactly how this is going to go down. I wasn't planning on going in July, and now I've got like a gig I have to film in Virginia for 2 days, like a Thursday and Friday. And then I'll be traveling for a day. And I just can't, I can't afford to just fly around the country and go places I like. I'm not at that stage in life. Okay. So I have to plan everything carefully. OG means original goat. Oh man, I like that. Original goat. That's a good thing. Sent a mod chat of what happened to one of the docks on the lake I live on. Did it get destroyed by the size of the fish you were catching, Josh? I've seen those. You're not supposed to catch whales from a private dock like that. Oh, oof. Crazy wind and rain. The dock did not survive. It's out in the lake. The dock is undocked now. But I have so many travel credits. It's trying to use them that's the problem. I can never get to the booking stage. Goat is the greatest of all time. Let's see. Josh sends doc pics to mod chats. I see what you did there, Greeners. I see that. Is my camera crooked? It looks like it should be like that instead of like this. I need a level. In here, stat. There's the option of a cruise. Yes, but all the places I want to go are far from the ocean, unfortunately. The cruise liners just don't make it that far up the Colorado River. That was a very Greeners comment of that. But I think we're starting now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The court, we're on the record, the case of People versus Linda Stermer. Counsel are present. Ms. Stermer is present.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Everyone nod.
Any matters to address before we bring in the jury, counsel?
We have none, thank you, Your Honor.
Just a real quick housekeeping matter if we can approach.
Sure.
Why can't you just do it and we can all hear? The jury's not here. Why does it have to be a secret? Nina, Nana, Linda, happy Tuesday to you. 26 months, OG. OG, 26 months. Thank you very much. Linda, appreciate your support.
Bring the jury.
Let's see. Josh says, sorry I wasn't here yesterday. Had an eye appointment. Didn't want to be randomly in chat yesterday when I had dilated eyes. Yeah, that's almost like, let's see, what would that be like? It's basically a blind mod is what you'd have. Because even though you go to an eye appointment, they pretty much make you blind for all intents and purposes. And yeah, you'd just be timing me out and everything else. It would be bad. It would be bad. Tony, thanks for digging that for us. I appreciate that. Just tag me in the response so I see it when it scrolls by. All right. The third try to use the giant legal pad. I brought this commercially oversized pen this on today, Your Honor. Is it all right if I use a white pad instead of yellow? Is it the color that's the problem, Judge? Is that it? You just don't like the yellow pad? She's like, no, that's not it. That's not it. You still can't use it. I would love it. I mean, I would think it would be hilarious. The judge probably might not. If he brought it up to the lectern and used the legal pad just for his own legal notes, and he's like flipping pages and writing things and crossing off questions and everything. Oh, that would be epic. That would be epic. But I think the judge would feel like he's making a mock of the court. Sammy Grant just tuned in. What have I missed? The judge just said good morning.
I don't like podiums, Your Honor.
I don't like podiums either. The judge just said good morning, and that's all. That's pretty much all you've missed. And the birthday song, of course. You missed that. Northwest pulling double duty. Here's the problem. Daybell goes late. I mean, it's over like 9 p.m. Eastern. It's crazy late. So, I mean, you could almost work a double shift and cover everything with no overlap. It's wild. She's not as glowy today. It's the light. Wait for the light. Give it a minute. I think overcast skies is the problem because we don't have sunlight streaming into the courtroom through the sky.
Okay.
Let's approach again because, hey, we just did that a minute ago, and that was fun. So why not? Oh, they look quite exhibity over there on the defense side. There are exhibits stacked up against the wall. That's what he's done the whole trial, make a mockery. He has no respect for the judge. I've found that the attorneys sort of get the feel for a courtroom, and as long as they're not corrected, that they just go with it. And it's possible that they've practiced in front of this judge before, and she's just cool like this, and everyone's in their happy place. To us, we're like, wow, that's really rude. But the judge is like, oh, nah, it's great. No worries. No skin off my back. Apple Treasure, remember for 15 months, the lawyer's having a party without us. Yes. With a book. This seems like more than a scheduling issue. Okay. If the defense is up there, just heads up, prosecution, you need to get up there too. They're digging up a rule. Defense has the old school book. The judge has the old school book. Prosecution has everything online. They're using Grok and AI. Judge is going to call prosecution in just a minute, saying I can't start without them because there has to be representation from both sides. That way there's no accusation of anything inappropriate happening at the agreements and such and such. We need our counter ready. What is the counter on? The counter says 31. I'm trying to remember what it was we were counting. So we're going to put that. We're going to put that right up here. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that much I desire. Boom. little Metallica in my head today. And big in that and put it center. Made up words. They made up words. Thank you very much. I would get there eventually. I tell you, when I miss that half-hour sleep, it hits you. It hits a little different. Okay, I think there's our made up words counter. Yeah, it's there. Now we just piece at a time, we're going to put together the whole live stream right before your very eyes. As if we were professionals. That's what we're going to do. Let's do this crop. That should work. Ready, super source. Grab my second to last comment or the one before. The review message says Amber. Second to last. Made up words. Katie Bug, thanks for the super sticker. This one. Our last day in the Linda Stermer case, we saw Steve Wilson, the insurance attorney, Brad Stermer, Todd's brother, Chris Wallace, the coworker affair, Kate Fox, boyfriend sift $5,000, girlfriend, best friend, sorry, not boyfriend, that was best friend, who got gypped out of $5,000, and that was the last straw. Dardita Gordon Reed, Corey Pierce nephew's son. Whew. We need more hyphens. We need more hyphens, Amber. Okay, super source box 2 is going to be 3. Box 3 is going to be reset. I thought I'm just gonna make it fit perfectly and it'll be beautiful, but it didn't. I will fix the size so that my OCD does not get triggered. Get it in big in that just a teensy bit, and slide it over. Wonder what they're researching. Maybe if they would share it with us, we could help them. Okay, we've all got computers. It's like having a whole team of legal assistants here in chat. Look at the audience here. Look at the gallery. A lot of people. This is on Linda Stermer's. Nope. This is the prosecution side. Nope. No. Let's see. Trying to look for familiar faces. I think this is Linda's side. Is that possible? Hold tight. I've got some issues with the feed. We'll keep the audio going. It's defaulting to a very low quality. There we go.
Else before we bring in the jury?
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
It's Todd's mom, Todd's side, brother's there. Okay.
Bring in
Look
the
at
jury.
the aisle. That was the giveaway. The problem is we crossed like the 180 degree rule, so everything's left is right and right is left. And my brain, I told you, that half-hour sleep, I missed it. Don't think they want our opinion. They don't. So those were people on the prosecution side. Thank you for correcting me. Linda Stermer, who was 60 years old, was arrested and charged on June 5th, 2009 for the January 7th, 2007 death of Todd Stermer. Linda was found guilty and sentenced to life without parole in February of 2010. Linda Stermer had conviction overturned in December 10th of 2018, nearly 9 years later, claiming ineffective assistance of counsel from her defense attorney and prosecutorial misconduct on the prosecution's part, obviously, and she was released on a $10,000 bond. That is why we're here with the second trial. First trial, she was convicted life without parole.
Welcome back, jury. Good morning. And Ms. Ayden, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'll call Trenton Stermer to the stand, please.
This is Trenton. Katie Bug gifted a membership. Thank you very much. Fire Girl handmade by Wendy. You're the recipient. Great aim, Katie Bug. That was amazing of you. Samantha, I'm just happy that our house didn't blow away in the wind last night. So, I mean, what's to be mad about when your house did not blow away?
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you. Please have a seat. And then you can move that microphone up to your mouth so the jury can hear you. It's easier to do that than try to move the chair. And if you could tell us your full name and spell the last, please.
Trenton Stermer, Stermer.
Thank you, Ms. Ayden.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Trenton. How are you?
Doing all right.
Does not want to be here.
How did you know Todd Stermer?
He was my father.
And how do you know Linda Stermer?
That would be my mother.
And at the time of the fire on January 7th of 2007, were you living with your father and Linda?
Yes.
How old would you have been at that time?
12.
Man.
Who lived in the house with you at that time?
My two brothers, Corey and Trevor. Linda, and my father.
Can you describe the house that you were living in at the time of the fire? Was it completely finished?
No, not completely finished. Had quite a bit of work done to it. I mean, it was getting there.
Had walls?
Had walls.
All painted?
We had just started painting a lot of the walls, yeah.
Did you have carpet?
I don't remember having too much carpet. I think we had some area rugs in various places.
And where did you sleep?
In the basement.
I like the toggles on his jacket.
Not entirely.
Sweater.
Do you have walls there?
We did have walls, yes.
How about ceiling?
We had just finished the ceiling in my bedroom. It's kind of a drop ceiling.
Do you have carpet in there, or was it area rugs?
I think it was probably rugs maybe.
Where do you get that sweater?
Do you remember the night before the fire?
Not particularly.
Anything strike you that you remember?
Arguing.
Who was arguing?
My father and Linda.
Do you recall what they were arguing about?
Not at that time. I wasn't aware.
Do you just remember the arguing the night before, or had it been going on?
It had been going on leading up to that night, yeah.
Did you ever see your dad and Linda get physical with each other?
No.
Ever see any injuries on Linda?
No, never.
Do you remember if Linda came down to the basement the night before the fire?
No.
And that was a bad question, I'm sorry. Do you remember, or did she come down or not come down?
I don't believe she came down, no.
Did she ever come down and sit on the basement couch with you and your brothers?
The night before?
The night before.
No, not that I recall.
Thanks, Tony.
So she didn't cuddle with you on the basement couch?
No.
Do you recall if she slept on the basement couch that night?
I definitely don't think she did.
Had your dad worked on the furnace that night that you know of?
No.
Try again, answer the questions.
How about the day before?
Not that I recall.
Where was your bedroom in relation to the furnace room?
Directly next to it?
Did you share a wall?
Yes.
And you didn't hear him in there working on the furnace at night?
No.
Had your dad and Linda talked about divorce at all?
Yes.
Do you recall how much or how often they had talked about divorce?
Leading up to that, there was talk of them separating and who I'd like to go with.
Who asked you that?
My father.
Just asking where you wanted to live?
Yeah.
Thank you, Ivan. Appreciate that.
Had Linda said anything to you about divorce prior to the fire?
Not that I recall.
Do you recall the morning of the fire?
Vaguely, yes.
Do you remember what happened when you woke up?
Just told that we were going to the mall, going to the movies.
Did somebody wake you up?
Not that I remember.
Who told you were going to the movies?
I think my brother Corey.
Did you have your own room or did one of your brothers sleep in your room?
I had my own room.
Did Linda tell you why you were going to the movies?
Foundation, I thought I said Corey.
Corey woke him up.
I think I'll
I
let
think
you
he didn't recall, yes.
re-ask because I think Mr. Mueller's correct on that.
Okay, I can ask the question a different way.
Selena, thank
Before
you
you
very much.
left, did Linda tell you anything about what was happening?
When we went upstairs, I believe she told us that they were working out the details of getting divorced.
Did she say anything about her moving or leaving?
She said something about her going to stay with her sister-in-law, Kim, maybe.
So you said you went upstairs, so you did not go out the basement?
No, definitely not.
So you went upstairs.
Yes.
When you went upstairs, did you see your father?
I did for a second.
Where was he?
Sitting in his chair, I believe.
And the chair was where?
In the living room.
Did you see his face?
I did, yes.
And was he awake? Was he sleeping?
Seemed like he was sleeping, potentially.
Were you able to say goodbye to your dad?
No.
Why?
We were kind of shooed out of the house.
Shooed out by who?
Linda.
Did anyone try to go over and say goodbye to your dad?
I did, yes.
What happened when you tried to go say goodbye?
She stopped me.
How did she stop you?
Put her arm out and pulled me back towards the front door.
What was common practice in your house regarding saying goodbye?
Always goodbye, love you, hug, kiss.
And you were not able to do that day, were you?
No.
Did Linda tell you anything about your father that morning?
No.
About why you couldn't say goodbye?
No, not that I recall.
Was it common practice at your house for Linda and your dad to leave purses, wallets, and keys in the vehicles?
I don't remember.
Do you remember what vehicle you and your brothers took to the movies?
Took the Blazer.
Do you remember who drove?
Corey.
Do you remember if you had a full tank of gas?
I don't remember that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that answer.
I don't remember.
Do you recall moving anything out of the vehicle? Do you recall Linda moving anything out of the Blazer before you left?
I didn't see her get into the vehicle before we left.
She didn't tell you to wait while she took her purse out?
No, not that I remember.
I was leading.
Sustain.
Did she tell you to wait while she took anything out of the vehicle?
Not that I recall.
I was only partly leading.
So where did you go when you left the house?
We went to the mall in Portage, and then to the movies theater, which is right next to the mall.
How did you find out about the fire?
Corey's friend Steven called while we were in the movie and told us that the house was on fire.
What'd you do?
We looked at each other and thought that he was kidding.
Did you call back?
He did call back,
And then what did you do?
and we were kind of in a little. I was in shock a little bit, like, is this for real? And then we decided to leave and head home.
Did you go back to your house?
Yes.
What'd you see when you got there?
Smoke, police vehicles, fire trucks maybe, I'm not sure exactly.
Were you able to go up to the house?
No.
Do you remember where you stayed that night?
Well, we went to the Masali's next door, and I believe we stayed at my grandmother's that night.
Would that be, is her name Sandy?
Sandra, yes.
Was that in her one-bedroom apartment?
I believe so, yeah.
Did you talk to Linda that night?
Did, yes. She came to the Masali's at some point. And yeah, was hysterical. I don't remember necessarily talking to her, but saw her. And
Did she stay at your grandma Sandy's that night?
I don't recall.
You don't remember talking? Do you remember talking to her at all at Grandma Sandy's?
No.
Did you have pets at the time of the fire?
Yes.
What pets did you have?
I had we had a dog, Buddy.
It's my first dog's name as well.
Can't remember if we had another dog, a chocolate lab, or not at that time. No, the one dog had recently passed.
Did you have a cat?
No.
You didn't have any cats?
I don't believe we had any cats at that house.
I think the state has told us they had cats, and everyone
Did
said no.
your dad or Linda ask you to move any framed school pictures into the shed before the fire?
Not that I recall, no.
Do you recall where pictures were stored in your house?
No, not really.
Do you guys have gas cans at your house?
Yes.
And where were those stored?
Would have been stored at either the shed in the back of the house or off of the lean-to barn that we had, where the tractor was. And
Was the lean-to barn in the backyard?
no, that was off to the side in the field.
So if you're looking at the house, standing in the driveway looking at the front of the house, was it to the left or to the right?
To the left.
Was it common to leave gas cans in the yard?
No.
Was it common for a gas can to be in the front yard?
No.
Did you have a snowblower at that time?
No.
Did you have a working lawnmower at that time?
I believe so, yeah.
Any reason why a gas can would be in the front yard in January?
I'll sustain that as to speculation.
Did you ever see a gas can in the front yard in the wintertime?
No.
You mentioned there was a tractor in the backyard, is that correct?
The tractor would have been off in the field and left the house.
How big of a tractor was that?
It's a pretty large tractor.
Did anyone take cars into the backyard at that home?
Yes, but not at that time of the year.
When would you have taken cars into the backyard?
When the ground was dry.
So would you take the cars back there in the winter?
No.
Why would a car go in the backyard in the summer?
We would pull the cars down there, you'd drive back down the driveway and into the back fields sometimes.
Into the back fields?
Yeah.
But that was in the summer?
Yeah.
So around the time of the fire, were you aware of anyone driving into the backyard?
No.
Do you recall smoke detectors in your house?
Yes.
And do you recall, let me ask you this way, were they in every room?
I don't know if they were in every room, but they were definitely throughout the house.
Are you aware if they were working or not?
As far as I was aware, they were working, beeping.
Did you ever hear them going off?
Going off? We'd change the battery at times so that the beep test would go off.
Did Linda tell you what happened when you talked after the fire?
Yeah, she gave a few different stories over the next 2 years.
Different stories? Do you recall how they were different?
Just what she did, where she went, changed.
How did they change?
At one point she said that she went upstairs and she saw a fire and couldn't see anything, and I think she said that she couldn't make it up the stairs at one point, and that there's too much smoke or there's fire already before that. And where she went out of the house seemed to change.
What did she tell you on where she left the house?
At one point she said that she went back downstairs and went outside back door. And I feel like at a different point she said that she went out the front door. But at any time that I would ask, she would get either hysterical or angry and would attack me at times.
So when you asked her about the differences in the story, is that when she attacked you?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
A few different occasions. She driving once, she I think pulled over and started smacking me or something, and another occasion she just flat out attacked me and gave me a bloody nose and pushed me into the bathroom. Another occasion she told Trevor to beat me up if I kept asking questions about it.
So all of these times you've just described were related to you asking why her story was different?
And what happened and how it was that my father didn't make it out.
After the fire, did Linda ever tell you what to say to police officers, insurance agents, or anyone else that you were talking to?
She did.
What'd she tell you?
I don't recall exactly. Before the first trial, I remember her, before sitting down,
unsolicited,
being deposed or whatever, she told me to just tell him that if I didn't, that I didn't remember on certain questions.
So she told you which questions to not remember?
I don't recall exactly.
But you recall her saying to say you didn't remember.
Right.
Did she say what would happen if you didn't do what she said?
That we wouldn't get the insurance, wouldn't get our things back.
Wouldn't get your things back?
Right.
But you made out a list of everything you lost?
Right.
Were those the things she was referring to?
Yes.
Prior to the fire, did she say anything concerning to you about your dad?
Prior to the fire?
Yes.
Yes. At one point, she had came downstairs and sat on my bed and said, wouldn't it be better if he was dead?
Whoa. I see tears. There are tears. I can't tell why. I don't know what.
Short break. Remember the rules. I'll have you report to the jury room.
This is an unscheduled break. We're only 37 minutes, or roughly a little less than that, into the day. So a little early for this. So see if this is witness related, if this was him talking about the other trial, or if it's because the client's lost composure. What? They want to do a... Do they want to ask him some foundational questions, see if he remembers this himself?
Okay, the jury's left. Mr. Mueller, your objection?
I don't know how long the prosecution has known about this statement, but it's never, ever been in any police report, any prior testimony under oath. We've never been provided with a written statement, either by the police or the prosecutor. And I want to know how long the prosecutor has known this and they didn't tell us this to where we get ambushed at trial. This, as you can imagine, could be a blockbuster. And we were entitled to know when they found out that this was going to be testimony so we could prepare for it.
What's a mystery?
We have had nothing from the prosecutor.
Okay.
And I'll take the answer and then I'll respond.
Okay, Ms. Ayden?
Thank you, Your Honor. There's lots of things these boys have never had a chance to say. They have not been interviewed since the prior trial. I have encouraged them to try to dig deep and remember everything that they have not been able to talk about. We've had some conversations over the past few weeks preparing for trial. I've asked them to try to remember things, write things down. They've not spoken to police. They were under their mother's influence during the time of the trial. I mean, I don't know everything they don't know because these boys haven't been able to even talk about it until they've actually been able to get here under oath and tell their story, Your Honor. I don't believe we have to tell every single statement that could possibly come out. I don't know everything that they remember. I don't have every detail of what they're coming on the stand and remembering. Some of these questions I'm asking as we're going through trial and I'm learning more. I learned more when Corey got on the stand on Friday. And so I'm probing more into their memory and into what they know, and this is their opportunity to finally be able to be free and able to tell what they know, regardless of what their prior testimony was, regardless of what their deposition, and regardless of law enforcement. These are statements made by the defendant.
When did you first learn that this witness was going to state that Linda asked whether, I think the statement is, wouldn't it be better if he was dead?
I think we had talked over the last few weeks preparing for trial, and I asked if there were any sort of derogatory statements, and he said that there were lots of things. He told me he was coddled by his mother, that she told and confided in him a lot, and that she had made derogatory comments about his father. And we've talked about it, and I knew I was going to ask him if there were derogatory comments because he was the one she confided in.
But the exact statement, wouldn't it be better if he was dead? You've known of that for a few weeks.
I can't say I know the exact statement. I knew there were going to be derogatory statements. I knew that Linda had said things to him. I knew that he was coddled. I knew that she had made derogatory statements about his father.
But you didn't
know this was the first you heard was today, that wouldn't it be better if he was dead?
I don't know if it was the first time, Your Honor. I can't say that. We've talked about a lot of derogatory statements. And so I knew that there were derogatory statements. I can't say I knew those exact words. I can't say if, I knew exact times.
She's dodgy.
I can't say if I still knew those exact words.
Your Honor, I'm not so sure, frankly, the witness should be here listening to this.
Well,
he is.
Is there something you're going to say?
Well, no, what I'm going to say is you asked the question directly, when's the first time they have talked over the last several weeks. Does she know the exact words?
Yes or no?
That he just spoke? I don't know. But I do know this was a softball thrown to the witness for him to hit a home run. And whether she knew that exact word or the gist of it, these are the things we have to know. Because let me tell you, Your Honor, there is a whole big difference between she coddled him and she said some derogatory things about Dad, and she asked, wouldn't it be better if he was dead? And then a few days later, he's dead. It doesn't get any bigger than that, Your Honor.
Your Honor, these witnesses have been on these witness lists for years. He could have easily interviewed the witnesses, talked to the boys.
You have a duty to turn over.
This has never been a secret that these boys were going to testify. They testified in the first trial. They've had insurance depositions. He had every opportunity to speak to him and interview him in trial preparation as well.
There has never been a report or any testimony even remotely close to that. In fact, he's testified in other settings that he didn't speak to mom much about the fire. So this whole idea of they're blindsided, you mean they're learning this right now as we are? I frankly doubt it. And I want to know too, did he speak to any police officers?
He said no. She said no.
Ms. Ayden, so I'm just trying to hone in. Derogatory statements are one thing, but this is a powerful statement. Wouldn't it be better if dead? When did you have, maybe you didn't know the exact wording, but when did you have notice of that?
I would say in the last couple of weeks we talked about his dad, that she wanted him out, or that they were going to be moving, and who did they want to live with, and wouldn't it be better if we were divorced? I mean, we've talked about an awful lot of statements with the boys. So we talked about a lot of derogatory statements. I can't be more specific than that, Your Honor.
Okay.
And this would have been in trial prep over the last few weeks. I had the boys come in and I talked to them all individually. I talked to them as a group. And we talked about a lot of different areas and a lot of topics.
Okay.
And this couldn't be more explosive and detrimental to the defense.
I'm going to strike the last testimony. It appears the prosecution had notice of it. It's different than other general statements about being coddled or other general derogatory statements.
The jury's thinking about that.
It's a powerful statement, and the defense has had, even though the prosecution knew of it, the defense did not have the opportunity to prepare for it. So I'm going to direct the jury to strike the last.
Your Honor, I move for mistrial because you can never unring that bell. Once it's heard, it cannot be unheard.
Okay. I believe jurors can follow their instructions, and I will instruct them to disregard the testimony about wouldn't it be better if dead, the last testimony. So I'm going to deny the request for a mistrial.
Understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
State
Anything
that
else
was-
to bring in the jury again?
Nothing else than that.
Okay.
That's a huge issue. It's a huge issue, and that is a. This is a discovery issue. When a new statement, and trust me, when the prosecution knows when there's a new statement that's been made, when a statement like that comes out and you don't tell the other side about it, you have all you had to do was tell them. All you had to do was say, I just interviewed one of the boys, and I asked him, was there anything she said negative about your dad? And he said, yeah. She came down and said, wouldn't it be better if you were dead? That's all you need to do. You need to turn it over, and then they can interview him if they want, and it would have fixed the issue, and this would have gone ahead, and the jury would be able to consider this evidence. They didn't, and now mistrial. Now there's a big question mark.
Welcome back, jury. I have an instruction for you, jury. You are to, I'm striking the last question and answer provided in the case before you went to the jury room. You are not to consider it in any way, and it must not affect your deliberations or verdict in any way. Thank you. And Ms. Zeiderbein?
I'm not going to remind you what it was, but...
You were living with Linda then at the time of the fire, correct?
Correct.
And you continued to live with her then for several years after that?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes or no answer?
Unfortunately, yes.
I'll allow it. Overruled.
After the fire, did Linda tell you anything about buying life insurance after the fire?
Not that I recall.
Okay. At the time that you were interviewed by insurance and by the police and in prior testimony, were you still dependent upon Linda?
Yes.
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Saw some dirty tricks with the first son. Let's see what happens on defense on cross here.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Stermer. I'm going to ask you some questions today, just to kind of clear up a few things, to clarify some things based on what you've said in the past, okay? If I ask you these questions, I know it's difficult. I'm not just trying to do my job, okay? I hope you understand that.
He's warning us that he's going to attack him.
You said that, well, first, can we agree it's now 2025? The fire happened 18 years ago. You've given some testimony and some statements under oath in the years since. Can we agree that you probably had a better memory back in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010 than you do now 15 years ago about a lot of the details?
No, I would disagree with that.
You would disagree with that?
Yes.
Oh, it's going to be spicy.
Do you think your memory is as good or better now?
Yes.
Why do you think that?
I was in pretty much a daze back then in the first trial, and I was kind of being manipulated by Linda at that time.
Wow. Wow.
You did know what taking an oath meant, right?
Yes.
And swearing to tell the truth?
Yeah.
And the penalties if you don't tell the truth?
Right.
When you testified, you gave testimony to an insurance lawyer, and you were under oath. In fact, you were asked, do you understand what an oath was? You remember that?
I honestly don't remember the first trial hardly at all.
You don't remember the first trial, but you remember all these details 18 years later?
Yeah, some of those details are ingrained in my memory.
Are you on any kind of medication that makes your memory better?
No.
Or anything that makes your memory better?
No.
Back then, when you were testifying in the trial, you were living with Grandma Stermer, right? This is 2010?
Yes.
Okay, that was Todd's mom.
Correct.
Then you lived with Todd's mom, and was there any other family? Their family? Or just Todd's mom?
Trevor lived there for a brief period.
How long did you live with Grandma Stermer after, like, 2010?
Till I graduated high school.
About 3 or 4 years?
No, I graduated in 2011.
Okay, so about at least a year?
Yeah.
When you were told to tell the truth in court under oath, did you do that?
Honestly, like I said, I don't remember that trial hardly at all. And if I was smoking pot at that time, and I really don't remember. I was kind of in shock, so I don't remember what I said. I don't remember the questions that were asked of me.
You were just, I think, just a young teenager around then, right? 14, 15-ish?
Sounds about right. 2010, so 16 going on.
So you were smoking some pot, which made your memory not so good?
No, I was just in shock. I was blindsided by the trial and was very depressed.
You just heard Ms. Zuderveen say you prepared with the prosecutor to get ready for today's trial.
I had only an hour, maybe, conversation.
An hour to talk about what you might testify to today?
Yeah.
Did you meet with any police officers with or without the prosecutors?
Recently?
The last few months?
No.
I just want to go over a couple things about your testimony. One of the big things I want to talk about was, you said the furnace. Remember you talked about the furnace and how you didn't hear your dad, whether he was working on the furnace or not, the night before the fire?
Yeah.
The furnace would go out of whack. It'd go off and on sometimes, right?
No, not to my knowledge.
Would it shut off sometimes, to your knowledge?
No.
If I may approach, Your Honor.
So now we're going to go through an impeachment process. Where he gets confronted with prior testimony. You can feel the tension in this courtroom right now. It's
in that little binder right here. See this? See that? It's called an exam under oath. It was testimony you gave on September 6th of 2007. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
You have to say yes or no. And you were asked on page 3, do you solemnly swear?
I'm just going to object. I don't know if we're using this to refresh his memory. He's already said he doesn't remember the trial. He doesn't remember the questions. So I don't know if we're refreshing memory or what we're doing here.
I'm going to refresh the memory. I just have a question. Did you take an oath?
Are you using this for memory refreshment?
In a second, yes.
Okay, I'll let you lay the foundation.
Thank you. Do you remember being asked that question on page 3? Did you take an oath?
I don't remember that question, no.
Okay. Does it refresh your memory if you look at page 3 from 3 till 5 or 6?
You can say no.
You solemnly swear that everything you say in the statement.
Your Honor, I guess I'm just going to object. We just talked about it. It doesn't refresh his memory. He doesn't remember it. He's already testified to that.
I'll sustain the objection as to foundation for memory refreshment.
If we go to page 15,
Oh, this is
why don't you
improper.
read that to yourself?
Where?
Page 15.
Is this about the furnace going out?
Let's strike that.
Now don't read 15.
You go to something else. You don't recall the furnace being sometimes needing to be worked on by your dad?
I mean, the house was being built as we were living in it, so I don't recall there being many issues with the furnace. After it was, I mean, in the beginning when we were living there, we were using kerosene heaters. So once the furnace was up and running, I don't remember there being any issues with it.
Okay. Do you recall, talking about the construction of the house, that in the living room, like the whole living room area, if I...
Let me draw you a picture of the... I'm just kidding. He's got a map. He's got the map. Watch your fingers. Those things can close and they hurt like the devil. If you ever pinched your finger in a tripod, you know.
Your Honor, these have been previously admitted as Exhibit O, floor plan of the house. I'm going to show you this drawing that we've gotten. Does that kind of depict the layout of the first floor of the house?
That's about right, yeah.
Right, big living room, you got a dining room off the back right corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
And the front door is here where the foyer is?
Correct.
Okay. You recall that the living room had the whole floor was exposed wood with just some throw rugs.
Yes. Sounds about right.
You're now how old?
32.
32. Do you know what OSB flooring is, like subfloor?
I do, yes.
That was all subfloor.
Yes.
And there were a lot of exposed beams and things in the house.
Exposed beams? No, I don't believe so. I think we had already gotten the drywall up on the ceilings and the walls for the most part.
The basement told us that the ceilings were not drywall, right? And is this kind of a good layout of the basement? Your Corey's bedroom, your bedroom, the rec living room?
Is this an admitted exhibit too? Okay, part of O.
Sir?
Yes. So I think that we had just recently put in the ceiling in at least my bedroom, and I believe Corey's bedroom as well.
Certainly, the house, as you said, was unfinished. You were still completing building it as you moved in, right?
Yes.
The smoke detectors you talked about, do you know how they worked?
For the most part, I believe so.
Were they hardwired? Were they just the kind you put batteries in?
I believe they were hardwired and had batteries in them.
Okay. In the month or so before the fire, do you recall, as you sit here, whether they were working?
To the best of my knowledge, they were working, yes.
Okay. You didn't have any alarms go off, though, did you?
In what sense?
Smoke alarms in that month before the fire?
No.
Or the fall before the fire?
No. Well, like I said earlier, there was like the beep test to warn you when the battery was low, and it changed the batteries out.
There you go.
The Chevy Blazer that you took to the mall, you said Corey drove?
Yes.
That was Mom and Dad's car?
It's somewhat of a shared vehicle, yes.
And if Corey drove, where were you sitting?
I would have been in the back seat.
Behind the driver, behind the passenger?
I think I would have been behind the passenger seat.
So then Trevor would have been in the front passenger seat?
Yes.
You didn't see Linda Stermer get in the vehicle or do anything before you left the house. Would that be fair?
That would be fair.
So you wouldn't have known what she did or didn't do before you left the house, right?
Correct.
And I think you said you woke up about, 11 o'clock-ish?
I have no idea.
When Linda had you and your brother leave, she wasn't acting upset or sad or anything, was she?
She was acting angsty.
Antsy?
Angsty?
Red pen, is that a word?
Anxious?
Angsty?
Yeah.
Let me ask you to turn to page 16 of your examination under oath and read to yourself Exhibit 3.
Greeners, just because you use it doesn't make it a word. I need to consult the official dictionary. That's red pen.
Okay.
Does that refresh your memory that Mom was acting normal and was not extra upset or extra sad?
I guess I'm just going to object. I would prefer that he ask if that refreshed his memory. He's already said he doesn't remember a lot of these interviews, so without going into the entire
I'm sure there's a legal objection coming somewhere.
I think we're blending memory refresh with prior and consistent statements. So if you could just lay the foundation for one or the other or both.
Okay. Was Mom upset or sad?
Upset or sad?
Yes.
No, I don't. She didn't seem upset or sad necessarily.
She seemed normal.
She seemed in a rush. She seemed like she was trying to quickly get us out of the house without seeing my father.
When you gave testimony and you were asked this question, just normal mom, your answer was, yeah. Would that be right?
That's what it says, but again, I don't remember that.
Understood, but when you swore to tell the truth and you were 15-ish, 14-ish, you would have told the truth, right?
Not necessarily.
You might have lied under oath.
Potentially.
And I want to direct your attention to a couple years later, when you testified at a hearing in 2010. And that's this one here, just this stapled piece of paper. You see that?
What? What are we looking at?
This one, yep, that has the same kind of caption. You see that one? Let me see. Nope, the other one. And I want to turn your attention to page 130. Lines 14 through 18.
Lines what?
14 to 18. You were asked the question, your mom was acting normally that day. Is that true?
Your Honor, I guess I'm going to object for the same grounds. Are we refreshing his memory? Are these prior inconsistent statements? He's already said he doesn't remember.
Your Honor, this is an inconsistent statement. He just said she wasn't acting normally.
I'll allow it as inconsistent statement.
No. The question was, your mom was acting normally that day. Is that true? Your answer, that's true. And it's true to say that your mom was sad after the fire, and your answer was yes.
Again, I don't remember that day of the trial. I was in a daze. I was in a state of shock.
But you knew the difference between right and wrong, correct?
Yes.
You knew the difference between a truth and a lie. Yes.
Yes.
You knew that when you take an oath and you swear with your hand that you have to tell the truth.
You swear with your hand. When I do it, it looks like.
And so you did tell the truth.
I forget.
In that court hearing.
Again, I don't remember that day, and I was in a state of shock. I don't remember the questions. I don't remember my responses. I don't remember much of that time period.
Okay. When your mom was, and you guys were going to the movies, your mom didn't tell you any type of specific time to come home, did she?
Not to me.
Okay. You didn't hear your mom say, look, I need you to stay out till after about 5 o'clock. Go do things, go to a movie. Just don't come back till dinner time. She never said that to you anyways.
Not to me, at least.
Yeah. And you didn't hear her say anything like, look, just go out for a little bit and come back in an hour and a half, right?
No, I don't believe so.
But your mom, I think you testified, told you that your dad and her were arguing and they were working out a conflict?
Not working out a conflict, working out the details of getting divorced.
The negotiations were
Can I ask you to turn your attention, sir, to page 122 of that trial when you were under oath? And look at lines 13 to 15. Are you there?
Yep.
Was this question and answer given? Was there a reason given as to why she wanted you to go to the movies? Your answer was, they were working on a conflict. That would have been true.
If that's what I said, then a conflict is in getting divorced, separated, her moving in with Kim, or going to stay with Kim.
You told our jury this morning that you saw your dad as you were walking out, and he was in a recliner chair, like a lazy boy type chair.
I can't remember if it was a rocking chair or a recliner chair.
Would have been in the living room?
Yes.
Okay. Can I ask you to turn your attention to that same document, the trial testimony, at page 125? Lines 12 to 17. Are you there?
Yes.
You were asked the question, when you left the house, before you left the house that morning, did you see your dad at all? Your answer was no. You didn't see him at all? I don't believe so. That was your testimony, right? Under oath?
Again, I don't remember that.
But if you were under oath, swore to tell the truth in a court like this, you would have, right?
Again, not necessarily, because I was being told to say certain things by Linda at that time.
But at that time, January of 2010,
prior to that,
you were living with Grandma Stermer, right?
Sounds about right.
Okay. And you knew what perjury was, right?
I don't believe I did at that time, no.
Your dad, you said, could be, and I'll use the word, loopy before the 7th. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe we were told that he was on some medication for ear infection.
Okay. But you personally observed him before the 7th being loopy, right? It wasn't just being told.
I believe there was at one point he was kind of out of it.
Okay, but this was several occasions before the day of the fire, wasn't it?
Sounds about right.
Okay. In fact, you said one time you saw him in front of the refrigerator, open the door, and he just stood there. Well, you didn't even know what to do.
This is me
right?
Every time I open the fridge.
I don't recall.
Let me see if I can refresh your memory. I'm going to ask you to turn your attention to page 132 of your testimony from January of 2010. And let me know when you get there.
I prefer to stand there until my feet get cold from all the cold air draining out of the fridge and washing over my feet. Then I close the refrigerator and
yeah.
Remember what I opened.
Lines
before.
12 through 16.
Yeah.
Does that refresh your memory about how he might stand in front of the fridge?
Vaguely.
You had your relationship after your, before the fire, you were pretty close with your dad, you said, right?
Yes.
Okay. But it was also easier to talk to Linda because she'd kind of let you get away with more things.
No, I wouldn't say that.
And give you permission, right?
No, I wouldn't agree with that.
You wouldn't agree with that? Let me turn your attention to this transcript that's in the binder. And I ask you to look at page 19.
We're almost up to 600 likes. Thank you for those who click the like button. It really does help the channel, it helps the stream, and it is free today.
From
3
10
like button clicks.
Till 16. You see that?
Yes.
You were asked under oath. I'm not saying you liked one more than the other, but did you find it easier to talk to either your mom or your dad more than the other one? And your answer was probably our mom, because she would let us do more. And the question was, if you needed permission, she was a little easier to ask. Answer, yeah. That was your testimony under oath, right? Yes?
Sounds about right, yeah.
And if you swore to tell the truth and you were asked that question and gave that answer, it's because it was the truth, right?
Probably, yeah.
You said you had a lot of conversations with your mom after the fire about how it started, and she'd get mad, right?
I would try to have conversations about it, yes.
And she'd get mad?
She would
said
either
hysterical once, I think that you said mad.
Yeah, there was several times that she would either get hysterical and then angry or try to end the conversation.
But it was several times you'd done that, right?
It was a few at least.
Okay. I want you to turn your attention to the same document, page 20 at the bottom and the top of page 21. You there?
Yes.
You were asked the question under oath, did you ever talk to your mom about how the fire started? And your answer was not really, because when we did, I don't know, she was like really upset. So you really didn't talk to your mom much about the fire.
Like I said, I tried to.
You gave that question answer to that question under oath, but it would have been the truth.
Again, I was in a state of shock at that time, and I was trying to not think about it.
I think you were asking questions about, did you ever see mom and dad hit each other or anything like that, right?
When?
This morning?
I think the question was, was there violence?
Yeah, there never was, right? As far as you ever saw.
No, not really.
And the night before the fire, you would have gone to bed around 11 o'clock. You were 12 years old. It's on Christmas break, the last night before you go back to school, right? Or it would have been 2 nights, Saturday night.
I don't recall.
Okay, did you go to bed around 11 o'clock?
I have no idea what time I went to bed.
Okay. Let me turn your attention to that same binder at page 10. Lines 23 to 25. You with me?
Yes.
Does that refresh your memory that you went to bed probably around 11 o'clock that night?
It doesn't refresh my memory, but the question is like 11, is that like 2 o'clock? I mean, I don't know how late you stay up. I said probably 11 or 12, so
11 or 12.
That sounds about right.
And you wouldn't have known what your dad might have been doing that day or the day before with regard to the furnace anyways, right?
I would have, I believe, because I was directly next to it. I shared a wall with it.
I know sleeping, but during the day you guys were out, right? Would do things. It's Christmas break.
I don't believe we were out and about that much.
Would you agree if Trevor says we'd go to the mall a lot and do things because not much to do for a teenager in Lawrence? Would you agree with that?
Sure, but I wasn't always involved in Corey and Trevor going to the mall.
Give me just 1 second, Your Honor.
Mandy Winslow, welcome to the jury. Love it. Thanks for your support. Got the orange courthouse. You can barely see the courthouse. Orange on orange, but it's there. If I drag it over here, you can see it. Goes back. We've got one more sun after this. Let's see if they want to give a low blow at the end of this like they did in the last one.
You've told us here today that you don't remember a lot about that earlier testimony under oath. Remember that?
Yes.
Because you were smoking dope, right?
Yes.
And you were in a state of stress and flux, right?
Right.
When you met with the prosecutor, did you tell the prosecutor, you know, I don't have a very good memory of a lot of that stuff because I was smoking dope back then?
I don't recall ever saying that. Linda had basically encouraged me to smoke pot, so it kind of carried on after that.
Is there anything you're on now that's affecting your memory or making your memory better?
No.
Just high on life.
Thank you, Your Honor. Any other questions?
Famous Amos, you just hit the 12 months. Congratulations and thank you.
Linda told you to go for a movie and breakfast. Is that accurate?
I don't recall. I don't recall her telling me specifically what to do. Just go to the mall, go to the movies.
Linda was your only parent left after the fire, is that correct?
Correct.
When you're looking at that past transcript, does it refresh your memory of that you said it or that it happened?
Which?
Yeah, and when you look at that transcript, do you remember saying those things?
No, I don't.
Do you remember that those things were accurate?
I don't remember if those were necessarily accurate.
Are some of them not accurate according to your memory?
Yes.
Why would you have said some of the things that you said in that transcript?
Well, there was, leading up to that, before the trial, before Linda had gotten arrested, I felt threatened by her and what I might say.
So she wanted you to say some of those things you said?
I believe so, yeah.
You still relied on her at that time, is that correct? Did you rely on her?
At the time of the trial?
At the time you made these statements?
I believe so.
Would you have relied on her for finances?
I believe so.
Are you under anyone's influence or threat today?
No.
Are you testifying from your memory of what actually happened?
Correct.
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Just a few. Thank you. Did you say you felt threatened by your mom when you were giving this testimony?
Leading up to the testimony, I don't exactly remember what was going on at this time of the testimony.
If you look at that little stapled piece of paper, not the one with the case caption, that other one's a police report. You see that? Yes. That was in October of 2009. You see that? Yes?
I don't know where, yes.
On the front page?
Yes.
Okay. Did you feel threatened by Linda then?
Was this prior to her being incarcerated?
I just want to know, did you feel threatened?
If it was prior to her being incarcerated, then yes, I did.
Okay. But certainly if it was before October of 2009, you wouldn't have felt threatened, correct?
Not necessarily.
You still would have felt threatened?
Potentially.
Okay. Well, I want to know your memory, not...
I don't know the exact timeline.
Okay. You were living, by the time you testified in the court hearing in January of 2010, you'd been living with Grandma Stermer for about 6 months, since about the middle of summer. You remember that?
Sounds about right.
Okay, so, and when you spoke to this police officer in October, you'd been living with Grandma Stermer for about 5 months, since the middle of summer.
Okay.
Right? Did you ever tell the police officer, I feel threatened by Linda?
I don't recall.
Okay. If it's, check that. You don't like your mom very much right now, do you? Would that be fair?
That's one way of putting it, yeah.
That's mildly putting it, right? You really, really dislike your mom right now, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor. I mean,
Let him go.
How old were you in 2009?
Well, my birthday's in February, so would have been 15, I believe. Depending on the month.
15, depending on the month.
Yeah. 2009 would be 16.
And then in 2007, when the fire happened and when you were talking to insurance agents and police officers, how old would you have been in 2007?
I was 12, almost 13.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
all those times, obviously, you were old enough to know what telling the truth and taking an oath was, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
No questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Jury, any questions of him? I've got at least one hand going up, couple.
Let's see where these jury questions take us. We have one more son who's going to testify for the state before they rest, and this is the big closer. Still think it was a big mistake on the state's part to not turn over the information about Mom said wouldn't it be better off if he were dead, talking about his dad. Why would they not turn that over to defense as a new statement? And the way the attorney responded to that questioning from the judge, it seemed like she was hiding something. By the way, if anyone can find out where he got that jacket, I'd like to know. The zipper, I love the oversized drawstring, the oversized zipper, and the oversized toggles on that. I've done my best Google search and I cannot find it. So it's a zippered sweater coat, fleece or sheer lined, with large zipper, large toggles. It is knit. It's knit. I don't think it's homemade. I mean, this is professional level of manufacture. And it looks, because of the different pieces, and I think it's factory made. It looks warm. The state didn't turn over that a couple weeks ago. The son said to the state that Linda came down, sat on the bed, and was talking to him and said, "Wouldn't it just be better if he was dead?" Talking about Dad. Defense objected. Jury got kicked out. Had a little discussion. Judge struck that from the testimony.
Sir, I have some questions from the jury. Okay, no objection from the lawyers. Did you kids have Linda's second cell phone when you went to the mall?
I don't believe I was aware of the second cell phone until after the fire.
Okay. Did you, if you know, you may not know, did you at any time receive money from the insurance company to replace your lost items?
I don't believe so.
When did you start calling your mom Linda?
After she killed my dad.
Pretty much as soon as I found out that she murdered my father.
Your Honor, I move to strike.
Counsel were given the opportunity to object to the question. There's no objection, so I'm not going to strike his answer.
Boom.
Any counsel have any? Thank you, sir. Counsel have any questions of him in light of those questions and answers?
Did you have your own cell phones as teenagers?
Yes.
And then you said you became aware of her having a second cell phone after the fire?
Yes.
How did you become aware of her having a second cell phone?
I believe Corey told me.
So you didn't personally know?
I wasn't necessarily aware of her having two phones, no.
You hadn't seen her with them?
It just didn't... I don't believe that I recognized it as two separate phones.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Mueller?
Just a couple. Regarding that question about calling Ms. Stermer Linda, you lived with your mom for a period of a couple of years after the fire, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, and you didn't call her Linda until sometime after about 2010, would that be right?
I may have started calling her Linda when she would attack me when I was asking about the fire. I don't recall exactly when
Would, just trying to place it a little tighter, would it have been around the time you started living with Grandma Stermer?
No, it was probably as soon as she got incarcerated, and that I became aware that she was even being investigated.
Okay. But you said around the time incarcerated. There was a time in June of '09 where Ms. Stermer was arrested for this fire. It's around that, and that's the time when you went to move in with Grandma Stermer, right?
Yeah.
And that's around the time when you just told us you started calling Ms. Stermer
I really don't
Linda,
remember when I started calling her Linda.
But you started then calling her Linda instead of Mom.
Your Honor, I guess he's miscategorizing the witness's testimony. He said that he thought he was starting when he was being attacked for conflicting statements.
Okay. I am going to sustain that objection. He's indicating he doesn't remember.
Can we just get a caution, Your Honor, with regard to the speaking objections? Form foundation is a legal objection. Thank you.
Her objections are fine, and your objections are fine.
Thank you.
Everything's fine.
Questions? Either of you?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Mueller, any more questions?
None, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Jury, do you have any other questions of him? None? Thank you, sir. You're done, and you're excused from your subpoena. Okay, thank you. Counsel, did you want to take a morning break at this time? Okay. So jury will take a 15-minute break. I know you've already had a short one, but and remember the rules, no discussions about the case, no media, no social media.
I don't know who sent me this, but thank you. Let's see, who is this? Somebody sent me the link to the jacket. Here, hold on one second. I'll show you what the jacket is. I think this is the exact one. You guys tell me if you think this is the exact jacket.
The jury's left. Any matters to address in our break?
I have none, Your Honor. Thank you.
None, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll be in recess.
10:50, Your Honor.
50, or 10:45.
Who found this? I'm going trying to see whose text was that sent it to me. So I want to thank you appropriately. I don't want to give out your number. Wait for it. Amanda H. Thank you very much for finding that. It was Amanda H. Oh, you guys, it was in chat already. I put the link in chat. Here, I'll put it in again. That's it. It's beautiful. I think. See, it's a men's jacket, but I looked at it and I thought Mrs. R.A. would like that. Don't tell her. It's a secret. Not sure if she'd have a women's version. Maybe the blue. Ladies, what do you think of that jacket? Is that show it to us. I could. Hold on. Okay, let's go to 5. There we go. There it is. That's the jacket. I think he was wearing this version, but it comes in a couple different varieties. That blue looks, wow. I think this is the best. It looks almost like medieval. It's got like a medieval feel to it. I don't know. It's awesome. I like it. Now I need to find where chat went. Hang on. Here it is. Shrink that down. Pop out chat. All right. Kelly says, I'm a chicken. I love it. Not big on fake leather. Is it fake leather? I didn't even read the label on it. I just thought the design looked really cool. We have a 15-minute break, and then we have the very last witness for the state, assuming, and it's possible they might have some rebuttal witnesses after the defense goes, but we're going to be in on, most likely, on the defense's case here in just moments. Let's see. That's how the RA Fashion House started. Tell me that doesn't look medieval. Think of like it's got the literally under armor look to it, like it's the padding and stuff you'd wear underneath your armor, like a knight would wear. But it's decorative. That's maybe I don't get out much, but it just looks cool. It does look like a Viking. Teen girl jeans, Judge Boyd handbags, and medieval jackets. I've made it a point not to comment on teen girl jeans. There was a time in my life where buying and selling teen girl jeans was a major part of my financial income. Used teen girl jeans. So there's a part of me that knows all about Miss Me and everything else. What was the good one? 7. 7 was a good one. Even made some good money off some True Religions one time. I'm just saying he's got some great style, and I liked it. It's not an outdoor working thing. This is not something you'd wear to the lumber mill, Ivan, for sure. That's like no toggles allowed at the lumber mill. Will you buy one? Will you model it for us? I live in North Carolina, Maureen. I live on the eastern coast of North Carolina, coastal plains, which basically is like extended beach. Okay, underneath my grass there is sand. I'm that close to the ocean, and I'm in the south. It's granted tonight it's going to freeze, So it would be good for that. But other than that, it's going to be 80 degrees for the next, 50 nights. Can anyone repost the sweater link? I'll post it again. Hang on. Okay, it's up right now. The sweater link is up right there. That's the sweater link. Can't imagine the Google results searching for used teen jeans. I wouldn't search Google for them. I would search eBay. This is what I used to do. Okay, fun fact. While we wait for court to come back, they're over here. Oh, they're not over there. They're over here. So we'll be back there in just a minute. I would go to secondhand shops, and I would like thrift shops, and I would shop for girls' jeans. And you'd look for the ones that had the most bling, fat stitch look you could possibly imagine. Things like nobody would ever want these, and that's where you'd start. And you'd be like, clearly, they stand out, and that's what people want to do. I would take them. I would look at the size and the brand and the general condition, and I'd go to eBay and I'd look and see. I'd type in as much of it I knew: girls, jeans, size, toothpick. Miss me, thick stitch, and I typed that all in, and I'd search, and I'd look for closed auctions, things that sold, and I'd see how much they were selling for, and it's like, oh, this used pair of torn up jeans that looks, audacious at best, sells for $90. I will buy them for $2, and I will sell them for $75. It was a good deal. Everyone's happy, so I did that a lot. We were this close. All right. Ivan, the optics of it was not good. I admit to that. But I was also buying original band T-shirts. I got an original Nirvana shirt that was sold at some river place up in early days. I got one of those shirts. I've got I'd buy and sell some Hard Rock Cafe stuff would actually sell, which is weird because you can just get that everywhere. But it wasn't just girls' jeans. That was a big part of the money. They were probably the most lucrative part. Everyone needs a hustle. Your Honor, it wasn't just girls' jeans. It was also books. I was huge on the book side. I like to brag on the fact that I don't think you can find another Amazon reseller who has sold as many items as I have, which is in the multiple thousands, with 100% positive feedback score. I'm just that good. Actually, I know how to just work the system. Who is the defense lawyer? Which one? Spanky? Which one? Wolfie? Or is that the judge? Sweater's on eBay for $25. I would never fit in any of the girl jeans I bought. Not that I tried, but I can tell you that if I were Wolfgang Mueller and Skip Kelly, thank you, Future. Those are the two attorneys on the defense side. From left to right, let's see, Susan Zwiderbein, Jay Blair, actually in the other order today, and then Wolfgang Mueller and Skip Kelly. I think those are switched a little bit. No, I did not. I never tried. Samantha. Just here for the pronunciations. Well, I nailed them first try. That's why I didn't repeat them. So, is skip short for something? Hop. Skip is like a short hop or a leap. There's some soap opera lawyer names. They're good ones. They really are. Slottilka from Scotland says celebrating gaining 4 pounds this week. If you know, you know. Congratulations. Congratulations. I feel like I can celebrate with you for the same reason. Given Trenton's testimony and demeanor today, I'm making an educated guess that jacket was his father's and it's vintage. So if you don't find the exact one online, it was online. But Skip short for Charles. Maybe his full name is Skippy Peanut Butter. That's good. My little family says, hi, can I have a shout out? Nope, we don't do those. No shout outs, my little family. Thanks for being here anyway. Just kidding. Welcome. Good to have you. Love the Blue Courthouse by your name. That's month 2. I think it's month 2 for you. His full name was Ronald Skip Kelly. Who started calling him Skip? Was it like his friends, they were being mean and then it just stuck? Or is that like, I think my nickname's going to be Skip. Really like the son that just testified. Well, Linda, we're going to have one more in just a moment here, and it will be the last witness for the state. I think it's going to be powerful. I don't think the state's going to put somebody up who's like, I don't remember anything. Nope. Don't know. Don't want to be here. Don't like my mom. I don't think they're going to go that. I think there's going to be some hot, spicy moments here. Amber Jerome. Nailed it. First try. Skip is a nickname when someone is named after their grandfather. Oh, so you skip a generation. He was playing Uno and he didn't understand the rules of the skip card. He's a mob boss. Skip can also be he skipped a generation of being named a certain name. That's like shaming the previous generation for not carrying on the tradition, though, right? So you've got Charles the First, Charles the Second, Charles the Third, George, and then Charles the Fourth would be Skip. Depending on what the last son has to say, it seems like they dropped the ball for not having the first son testify last. He was really spicy. He was good. But I think he laid some foundation for stuff that these ones don't remember. And so when they testified about, the edges of something that happened, we're reminded of the previous testimony. So I think it was important that way. Linda, my kids gave me that his main name after watching the show. Race car down my street. Trevor's your middle son. He has 4 children. He has 4? I thought she had 3 sons and 2 daughters the daughters were from a previous marriage. Okay, yes, he has 4. She has 4, right? And they adopted the first one. Who's next on the stand? The remaining son, who we haven't heard from yet. This is funny because I have a relative in my family history that did the exact same thing. Did not like her name. Did not want anyone named after her. Trevor has 4 sons himself. Sportsman's Alliance is a mission. Is it Sportsman's Warehouse or Sportsman's Alliance? I've never heard of that one. can't type either. Sportsman's Alliance. We fight for all hunters and anglers. Protect your hunting rights. Yes. Okay, Sportsman's Warehouse. I actually knew one of the logistics guys. It was the husband of a coworker. And I guess I can say this now. I got a fair amount of stuff from Sportsman's Warehouse at employee prices. Some good stuff, some camping stuff. I guess technically I was not family, but thank you. It was beautiful. I got it at a good price. Nona, that's awesome. Poshmark and eBay reselling clothes, purses, shoes. I don't know purses well enough to tell a fake from the real one, so I don't do that. Shoes as well, scare me. But the big money came from buying and selling sneakers. Still do it. Found some Yeezys at a thrift store for $30 and sold for $250. I imagine you just clean them up a little bit and they look great. My favorite was finding electronics. New, sealed in the package electronics. I once found a Sony mini disc recorder and player, like a Sony Walkman mini disc recorder and player. It's the one that took that little disc drive, and it was sealed in the clamshell packaging, brand new, never been opened. I paid $10 for it, and I sold that one for, I think, just over $300. That was a good day. I found a Montana Silversmiths cowboy belt with a huge old cowboy buckle. Had like an engraved judge had engraved ducks on a pond scene. It's pretty nice. Big silver buckle.
Back on the record in the case of People versus Linda Stermer. Any matters to address before we bring in the jury?
I have none, Your Honor.
None, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll bring in the jury.
All right. Whew. Let's bring in the counter as well. Got it. The Silversmiths buckle was on an Indian beaded belt, and it was a weird combination. Like the belt, I don't think was made for that buckle. I mean, it was because it snaps on and everything, but it was interesting to see the big silver buckle and Indian beads on the belt. Standing Mute is here, member for 15 months, has found a sealed video game in one of our cabinets my husband paid $10 for on clearance. Sold it on eBay for $1,200. Winning.
Ms. Ayden, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. You can call Trevor Stermer to the stand, please.
Oh, wow. Carhartt jeans.
If you raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat. And I'll actually take that document from you. Thank you. Is this defense? Mr. Mueller, this is yours. Thank you. And, sir, you've got the microphone in front of your mouth. That's good. If you could give us your full name and spell the last, please.
Trevor Stermer, Stermer.
Thank you. Ms. Ayden.
Thank you, Your Honor. Trevor, did you know Todd Stermer?
Yes, I did.
How'd you know him?
He was my dad.
And do you know Linda Stermer?
Yes, I do.
How do you know her?
She was my mother.
Oh!
And in 2007, at the time of the fire, how old were you?
I was 14, turning 15 in a month.
Where did you live?
Lawrence, Michigan, County Road 215.
Who lived with you in that house?
My parents, and my two brothers, Trenton and Corey.
Can you describe the house for the jury?
It was a large house. My dad had built it from the ground up. We were all very proud of it. It's a wonderful home for our family.
How long had you lived there before the fire?
We had been there 2 years, approximately.
Was it 100% finished?
For the most part, I would say 95.
Was the 5% carpet and floor coverings?
There was a couple decks that were left unfinished on the outside. There was maybe one room that didn't have carpeting at that point. Well,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The basement, I don't believe that was ever supposed to have carpet. We had an epoxy ceiling on the floor and then area rugs, but that was what it was meant to be.
That was what it was meant to be?
Yeah.
And then did you have a ceiling in the basement?
The bedrooms did. The main area, I don't believe that was supposed to have a ceiling at that point.
Where was your bedroom?
My bedroom was in the loft area, the third level of the house.
So not the basement, right?
Get it turned up a little bit.
Well, I was only in my bedroom, the loft area, for about a week, maybe. My dad was working on it a couple weeks up to the fire and had just completed it. So I maybe only spent 5 nights in my actual bedroom. Other than that, I slept in the basement with my brothers.
So when you say the loft, that wasn't the basement level, correct?
No.
And it wasn't the main level where the kitchen and the living room were,
No.
correct, right? So was it actually then the second story?
Yes, there was another set of stairs that went just to the loft. It was one bedroom, and that was my room.
Was it an open loft?
Nope. You would go up the stairs, and there was a doorway on the right that would lead to my bedroom. That was the only room up there. But on the left side of the stairway, there was a small little landing area that looked over the great room.
Do you recall if you had smoke detectors in the house?
Absolutely, yes.
Do you recall how many rooms had smoke detectors?
All of them.
Do you recall if they were working or not?
Yes.
How do you know they were working?
My dad installed every one of them. I knew how meticulous he was about his work and about safety. And there was times I could remember we'd be cooking in the kitchen or something, and smoke would come up and all the alarms in the house would go off at that point because they were all connected. The whole house would sound.
Do you remember the night before the fire?
Yes, I do.
And what do you remember about the night before the fire?
Sometime in the evening, maybe 7 o'clock, an argument broke out between my parents. It was a really heated argument. We were instructed. I would have been staying in my bedroom upstairs in the loft area, but I was instructed to go down to the basement with my brothers because it was such a heated argument. And
do you recall what it was about?
yes.
What was it about?
Well, we could hear very clearly the argument. I mean, it was loud, and you could just hear through the whole house down there. But started with finance and some issues that they were having, particularly Linda's horses and how that was draining our family. There was a lot of the argument was spent about infidelities on Linda's part.
Do you remember how late into the night that arguing happened and that fighting?
I would say 10:30 p.m.
And you were in the basement then at that time?
Yes.
Did Linda come down into the basement that night?
She may have come down and just said goodnight, but didn't spend any significant time down there if she had.
She didn't watch TV with you?
No.
Didn't cuddle with anyone on the couch?
No.
Didn't sleep on the couch?
No.
Did you ever see your dad and Linda get physical with each other?
Never saw physical violence.
Ever see any injuries on Linda?
No.
You slept then in the basement that night?
That night I did, yes.
Whose room did you sleep in?
With my brother Corey. His and Trenton's rooms were connected.
Did you hear your dad working on the furnace the night before?
No, he did not come down that night.
It's a very firm recollection.
Had you spoken to your parents about what would happen if there was a divorce?
I had a talk with my dad at one point, never with Linda.
And that was prior to the fire?
Yeah, a couple months prior to that, my dad and I were sitting at the table and doing a Bible study, and he had brought up some issues that they were having in the marriage, and he said he was only sticking it out because of us kids at that point. And I told him, obviously, I would want to be with him. I would have lived with him if there was any split.
And then you stayed in the basement all night long and slept?
That night,
That
yes,
night?
I had.
Do you recall what happened when you woke up or how you woke up?
I woke up earlier than my brothers that morning, probably 8 o'clock, 8 a.m., and I tried to go upstairs, and Linda had stopped me halfway up the stairs and told me to stay in the basement. I said, I'm going upstairs to get something to eat. She said, no, I'll bring you something down, and brought me down a Pop-Tart or a granola bar, something to that effect. So I went back downstairs and started watching TV. Then maybe around 9 o'clock, an argument broke out between my parents again.
And you heard that argument?
I did, yes.
And you were still in the basement?
Yes.
At some point, did Linda come down?
She did, yes.
And what happened when she came down?
Well, I had attempted to go upstairs again, and she met me at the bottom of the stairs that time and said, she called us boys together, said that we were going to be going up to Portage to go to the mall that day, and she needed us out of the house. She said that we had to go watch a movie. I told her I did not want to go that day, and she insisted.
You told her you did not want to go?
I did not want to go.
Did she tell you why she wanted you to go to the movie?
She said that her and my dad might continue to argue, and she didn't want us to hear that.
Did she give you any money?
She gave my oldest brother, Corey, $20.
So what did you do after she told you to go to the movies?
What did you just mouth?
Or the mall, excuse me, the mall.
It was probably 10:30. She came down and instructed us that we'd be going to the movies. We spent a little bit of time getting ready, my brothers and I, and around 11 a.m. we made our way upstairs, guided by Linda. And once we got to the top of the stairs, she was telling us to remain silent, don't disturb your dad. So we got to the top of the stairs, and the front entryway would have been on our right, going up the stairs, going out of the house. My dad was to the left. I tried to push my way to the left and go say goodbye to him that morning, because he would have wanted to know where we were going if we were leaving the house. She positioned herself in front of me, said, no, don't disturb him, he's sleeping right now. And I could see him there on the couch. So,
you saw him in the living room?
Yes, I did.
Did you see his face?
Yes.
Was he awake or was he sleeping?
He was sleeping. Or incapacitated.
He didn't have his eyes open?
No, he did not.
Did I move it straight, Your Honor? Speculating.
Response?
I think I asked him, what do you saw?
I'll allow the question and the answer. It's responsive somewhat to the question.
So you didn't talk to him before you left?
No, I did not talk to him.
And you said Linda physically pushed you away from the living room?
She positioned herself in between me and the living room at that point and put her hands up, told me, no, you guys need to get out of the house. And she said, very panicked, and said, don't disturb your dad, he's sleeping, be quiet. So at that point I turned, went to the front entryway, proceeded to put my shoes on as my brothers were there as well. And the room circled back around from that entryway, kind of horseshoed around to the living room. After I put my shoes on, I again tried to go the opposite way to go see my dad, because it was just entirely uncommon that I would leave the house without seeing him, saying goodbye to him. And she ran in front of me at that point as well from the other direction and stopped me, said, no, you need to go.
So you said it was highly uncommon. What was common before you left the house?
We always told our dad where we were going. We'd give him a hug and a kiss goodbye and tell him when we would be back.
Was it common that your mom would leave her purse in her vehicle?
I don't think it would have been too common. Her purse was always with her.
Did you see her purse that morning when you came up from the basement?
It's possible. I can't say for sure.
Did she ever ask you to wait while she took her purse out of the blazer?
No.
Did she come out to the blazer with you as you were leaving?
I don't believe so.
Did you ever see Linda or did you know if Linda had more than one cell phone?
She had a second cell phone.
Did you see the second cell phone?
Yes.
How did you know she had a second cell phone?
The second phone had been around for several months prior to the fire. It originated as a business phone. My dad was aware of it at one point. They had a business, we had a large truck, and they would haul trailers and RVs out west to various states, and that was a business practice for them. That was a road phone, or it started that way. 3 months before the fire, my dad instructed her to deactivate the phone. There was no need for it. They were no longer doing that business venture, and she told him that she had deactivated it.
Was there a time that you saw your dad answer the second phone?
I don't recall seeing him answer it, but I do recall him being made aware of her still in possession of that second cell phone.
Do you ever recall any arguments about that cell phone?
Yes, I do.
What were those arguments about?
That was the night before the fire. You could hear him yelling about her still having the second phone in her possession and a bill that she had concealed from him indicating it was still in use.
Do you recall what vehicle you took then to the movies or to the mall?
We took the Chevy Blazer.
Who usually drove that?
That was Linda's vehicle at the time. My brother Corey was driving that morning.
Do you recall if you had a full tank of gas?
No. It would be highly unlikely that we had a full tank of gas.
Why would it be highly unlikely?
We never had full tanks of gas in our house.
Do you remember how you got the keys?
I don't recall.
So did you go to the movies or did you go to the mall?
We went to the mall first after doing some shopping and some returns that we had from Christmas items. We went to the food court, had a meal there. My brothers and I were discussing some of the divorce talk and how we would proceed as far as where we would live and what that would look like for our lives. And after we had eaten, we made our way over to the movie theater.
What happened when you were watching the movie?
About maybe a third of the way through the movie, I had received a call from a good friend of ours named Steven.
What did you do when you got that call?
He was very panicked when I answered. You could hear in his voice a high level of stress, and he said that your house is on fire. You need to come home right now. And at that point, I didn't ask him if he was joking around or if he meant it. I could just tell he was serious by the tone in his voice, and I stood up and grabbed my brothers and said, "We need to get out of here right now." And it took him a minute, but I just grabbed him by the arm and said, "We need to go home right now."
Did you go back to the house?
We did.
What'd you see when you got back there?
Could see our home up in flames. We were stopped at the end of the drive. They had it taped off, but the house was engulfed in flames. I remember looking at my bedroom in particular was just gone. The top level was just gone.
Were you able to go up to the house?
No, they stopped us at the end of the driveway.
Do you recall where you went?
They put us in the back of a cop car, and maybe 5 minutes after that, we drove over to a friend's house of mine, Mr. Masali. They were just our neighbors, and we drove there and waited most of the evening for any details.
Did Linda come then to Mr. Masali's house?
Much later, much later.
Do you remember where you stayed that night?
We stayed at my Grandma Sandy's house, or apartment.
Did Linda stay there too?
She did.
Did you talk to Linda that night?
Hardly. I don't believe so.
Did you talk to Grandma Sandy that night?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall where Linda was?
Us three boys would have been out in her living area. She had a pull-out couch, and Linda was staying in my grandma's room. My grandma may have pulled up some blankets on a floor there, and I remember my grandma being awake still, and everyone else was asleep, and I saw her go sit down and just start crying, and I went and sat with her.
You saw who crying?
My grandma.
And you were out with her on that pull-out couch?
No, she went and sat down on the kitchen floor, and I couldn't sleep, obviously, that night. I think everyone else was asleep, but I just watched her for a little bit, and then after seeing her cry, I just walked up and sat with her on the kitchen floor.
Did you remember that if you had any pets at the time of the fire?
We had 2 dogs.
Did you have a cat?
No, we had no cats in that house.
Was it common at your home to have gas cans out in the wintertime?
Depends where you would say out. There were specific areas on our home that gas cans would have been stored.
Where was that?
There was a large semi-trailer that we had built lean-tos off of, and there was a horse stalls on one side of that lean-to and an area where my dad would keep his tractor and various other tools and stuff.
And the gas cans would be there?
There would have been 2 5-gallon gas cans right near the tractor area.
Would it have been common to have 1-gallon gas cans in the yard?
No, that would have not been common.
Would it have been common to have a 1-gallon gas can in the front yard?
No.
Do you have a snow blower?
No, we never had a snowblower.
Any reason in January you would have known to have a gas can in the front yard? I'm asking if he knows.
Overruled.
There'd be no reason I could think that we'd have a gas can in the front yard.
What was the size of that tractor?
It was a very large tractor.
And where was that stored?
It was kept under the overhang.
The same overhang you discussed then in the backyard?
It wasn't necessarily in the backyard. It was off to the south of the house, maybe 150 feet away from the house.
Did Linda or your dad ever ask you to move any framed school pictures into the shed before the fire?
No, not that I recall.
Do you recall where pictures would have been stored in the house if they weren't on the walls?
Likely under the basement stairs. There was a little storage area down there.
Where were the Christmas decorations stored in the house?
I'm not sure if we kept them in the house. They may have been brought out to the trailer I mentioned with the overhang. We use that as a storage unit, basically. If they were in the house, I don't recall.
Before the fire, let's even just say the months before the fire, do you recall your father working on the furnace?
Within a month of the fire, probably yes.
Okay. And how about the night or the day before the fire?
He had not done any work on the furnace in those nights.
Hey, I store my.
Had you had issues with the furnace?
Likely a month before the fire, but not directly leading up to it.
Do you know what issues, or did you have any knowledge, any personal knowledge of that?
I couldn't say what was actually happening, but it wasn't turning on at one point, and my dad would have done a repair to mend that.
Just hit 1,000 likes. Thank you.
Did you ever have problems getting down your driveway out to the road, the main road?
No, it was a gravel driveway and very flat. We would have made our way fine.
Did you ever go down with vehicles from the side yard into the backyard?
In the drier months, it was common. In dry conditions, it was common for us to drive around to the basement. But there was a couple incidents leading up to the fire where it was wet conditions, and we had a couple vehicles get stuck down there, and my dad told us, don't drive any more vehicles down there. I'm not getting the tractor out to pull them out. So it was known, if it was wet, you don't drive down there.
So on a rainy day in January, that would be uncommon for someone to drive down there?
Very uncommon. We would have been in trouble.
Did Linda tell you what happened after the fire?
Bits and pieces.
What did she tell you?
She had initially told us that she was doing laundry in the basement, and she heard screams from upstairs, that she made her way upstairs and cracked open the door and saw just smoke and fire and closed the door and ran back down the stairs and out the basement.
Did she ever tell you anything different from that?
It changed. Little parts would change depending on the date. Many times the door that she exited out would vary, and if I questioned her about it, usually she would just break down in tears, and I would drop the questioning at that point. She never really wanted to open up and talk about it, and I guess I felt sympathy in that regard, and I didn't want to hash it out with her, though I wanted clarity on that because it didn't make sense to me.
Did she ever get mad at you for asking about the differences?
Yes.
And what happened during those occasions?
Same thing. She would get hysterical and start crying until I stopped questioning. And if you accused her of saying something different, then she would get angry and almost violent with us, especially with my younger brother, Trenton.
Your younger brother, Trenton?
Yes.
What did you see?
Trenton would make very direct accusations at her, and she would either hit him herself, or I'll never forget, she had told me, "Trevor, if you hear him making those accusations, I want you to silence him. You hit him, you do what it takes, you silence him, don't let him say those things." And that was very uncommon because I was bigger than my younger brother, and if we had fought in the past, I would be reprimanded for it. So it was generally, I was told to protect Trenton, and never would any of my parents told me to actually harm him intentionally.
And that's why it stuck out in your head?
Yeah, very clearly.
Did Linda ever tell you what to say before the insurance depositions or before you spoke about what happened?
Yes.
And what did she tell you to say?
There were 3 things in particular that she wanted us to be on the same page about. She wanted us to downplay how severe the fight that night of the fire was. She didn't want us to really detail how severe that fight was, and it was severe. That was the most heated argument I'd heard from my parents. Second, she didn't want us discussing any talks of divorce to the insurance agent. And the most important one, she wanted us, if we were asked how we thought the fire started, she told us, say it was a chimney fire.
And she told you those things?
Yes.
Did she tell you what to say before any court hearings?
Not that I recall. We weren't very close leading up to the court hearing.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We weren't very close leading up to any court hearings.
So when you say you weren't very close, do you mean relationship-wise?
Yes. We had lived with her 2 years after the fire. The only information we would get was from her. We were very isolated and naive to a lot of the things that were going on, but as details started to emerge, we distanced ourselves from her.
Did she ever talk to you about her affair?
It was pretty common knowledge that it did occur. She did not want to discuss it, I'm sure of that.
Were you aware of an item that Linda described as a duck boat on your property?
Yeah.
What was that?
My dad had a small plastic boat, maybe 6 feet long. It was a rowboat of sorts, and we had a very large pond in the very back of our property. It's probably a 30-acre pond, and he would do duck hunting back there. He used that boat to just to do some of that hunting on.
On your pond?
Yes.
And you said it was plastic?
Yes.
Did it have any seats in it?
It had one seat, one removable seat, I believe.
Did it have an engine on it?
No.
Ever have an engine on it?
No.
And you said it was made out of plastic?
As I recall, yes.
Do you recall what color it was?
Yes.
What color was it?
Probably mostly black and green. My dad had let me spray paint it at one point.
He let you spray paint it?
Yeah.
Camouflage.
It's supposed to be camouflage. I did my best.
You tried to make it camouflage?
Yes.
Didn't turn out very well?
I guess not. I had fun doing it, though.
Were you dependent upon Linda for finances when you were talking to insurance agents and when you were testifying?
Yeah.
Because she was
we were very much dependent.
Did she ever tell you what would happen if you didn't say those things that you told the jury?
She said it was important that we do well at the deposition, that if they denied our claim that we wouldn't have anything, that we couldn't rebuild anything, and we wouldn't have a home.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Here comes Cross.
Mr. Mueller?
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Stermer.
Good morning.
I just spoke to your brother a little while ago, and I'll tell you the same thing. I've got some things I just want to clarify and understand. This has been difficult for you. I just hope you understand. I'm just trying to do my job.
Yes, sir.
You, in this case in January of 2010, you remember that?
Okay.
Do you remember, does it jog your memory? Yeah, I remember I gave testimony in a court.
A testimony?
Yeah, like this, just like what you're doing.
Yes, 2010.
Okay. You were under oath back then, you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And you were 17 years old. Right, 15 at the time of the
probably
fire.
18 at that point.
18, a grown, an adult.
Yes, sir.
You would have known what it meant to take an oath, to swear, tell the truth.
Yes, sir.
Right. You were also interviewed by a police officer roughly October of 2009, just a few months before that hearing. Remember that?
It's 36 now, I think.
Vaguely.
Yeah, but you remember you talked to a police officer.
What did you say the date was?
October.
Of
fall.
2009?
Yep.
I don't recall a specific conversation at that point.
May I approach, Your Honor? I'll show you a document. It says it's a follow-up report with Trevor Stermer from October 18, 2009. You see your name on there?
I do.
All right. Does that kind of jog your memory? Oh, yeah, now I remember I gave a statement or interview to the police.
Okay.
Does it? Okay, I don't know. Does it jog your memory? I remember now, yeah. In the fall, I gave an interview.
I don't recall that specific conversation, but it's likely that I would have.
Okay. And then also, while you were still 15, or maybe, when's your birthday?
February.
So you would have been 16. You gave a test statement under oath to a lawyer for the insurance company. You remember that? You just talked about that.
I think I would have been 15 at that time.
All right. Would you agree with me, sir, that in general your memory is better now, or better 15 years ago than it is now?
My memory is very clear now.
Would it also be fair that you don't really like your mom too much?
That would be fair.
Would it be even more fair that you really dislike your mom a lot?
Dislike's not the word I would use.
If we use the word, it's a strong word, you hate your mom?
I don't hold hate in my heart. I'm horrified. I was horrified by my mother.
But when you gave that testimony in a court hearing in January, you had been living with Grandma Stermer for about 6 months, right?
October 2009?
No. In January of 2010, you gave testimony at a court hearing. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay.
I was not living with my grandmother at that time.
Who were you living with?
I was living in a student apartment complex called the Arboretums.
Not with any family?
Not with any family, no.
Okay. You had been apart from your mom for some time, since about the summer of 2009, right?
Correct.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach too?
He always presents the documents before the guy says he doesn't remember what happened. See if the prosecution will object to improper impeachment.
That document I just gave you, does that jog your memory that, yep, it was January of 2010 I gave testimony in a court hearing?
He remembered.
That sounds accurate as far as the testimony at that
And
time.
when you were under oath, then you swore to tell the truth, and you did tell the truth, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you talked to the police officer, did you tell him the truth too? And he was trying to find out what happened.
Yes.
You would have known it's important to tell the officer the truth.
Correct.
I want to talk to you just a little bit. You talked about the furnace. The furnace would shut off every now and then, right?
I wouldn't say it would shut off every now and then. There had been an issue in the past, and my dad had resolved that.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor? You see that first page where it says September 6, 2007?
Yes, I do.
And there's a man named Mr. Willison from the insurance company. He was asking you questions under oath. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. I want to turn your attention to page 16. Lines 20 to page 17, line 2. You see that?
Yes, I do.
You were asked the question, any furnace trouble? And your answer was, our furnace, every now and then, would, if we turned it down too low, it'd switch off, and my dad had to reprime or something. And then he asked you, did you ever have to do that? Did he teach you how to do it? And you answered, he never taught me how, but he had me hold the bottle while he drained it. See that?
Okay.
So it was every now and then, not just one time, right?
I suppose it could have happened more than once.
And in terms of gas cans that you said, it would be very uncommon to see a gas can in the front yard. You remember that?
Yes.
Telling us that? Let me try to get a picture of what you had in the property. It's a farm. You have a big tractor, you said, right?
Yes. Yes, there was a large tractor.
Big tractor. You had riding mowers?
That would function? No.
Okay. Did you have push mowers?
No.
Didn't have push mowers?
Not that I recall.
If I turn to the same document on page 18, and I'm looking at line 2 to 4.
Okay.
See that? Does that jog your memory? Oh yeah, you had riding mowers, and sometimes your dad would use the tractor.
Like I said, there was riding mowers on the property, but they were all broken down at that point.
Did you ever use the big tractor? Were you old enough?
I had.
It's used in the wintertime to drag bales of hay for the horses, right?
I would assume we used it to assist with the horses. I don't recall specifically what attachment we would have had to move large round bales of hay, though.
But you wouldn't disagree that horses had to be fed in the winter too.
Absolutely.
And they have to have, and then you had bales of hay all around the property, right? Or you brought them in.
Sure, we brought in hay.
Okay. And so you'd use a tractor to drag the bales.
If they were round bales, that would be accurate.
Okay. You testified it's completely uncommon, or did you say it would be unheard of to have gas cans in the front?
I believe it would be very uncommon.
Okay. I want to turn your attention to that stapled piece right there. Yep. This was testimony you gave under oath in January of 2010. You swore to tell the truth just like you did now, right?
Yes, sir.
And you told us you did tell the truth because you were under oath and you know what that means.
Yes.
Right. I want to turn your attention to page 113.
Okay.
On line 13, you were asked a question. Well, going back a little bit, you'd say you had 3 or 4 gas cans, you had a riding mower. You see that just a little bit above that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and then it wasn't unusual for your mom to be the person who filled gas cans, was it? And your answer was, it wouldn't be unusual. No, right?
For her to fill gas cans?
Yeah.
No.
It wouldn't be unusual.
No, it wouldn't be terribly unusual.
And your dad would too, I imagine.
I'm sure we all would.
Okay. Then it says, line 16, and it wasn't unusual for there to be a gas can near the front of the house that needed to be filled. Was there? Your answer was depending. Then the question was, sometimes when the cans were empty and they needed to be filled, rather than leaving them out...
I guess I'm going to object again. Instead of reading the testimony into the record, if he wants to ask a question about a prior inconsistent statement or use it to refresh his memory, I prefer that we use the proper form instead of reading testimony.
If I may be allowed to retort.
You may.
He said that it was completely uncommon to have that. I'm showing him his testimony and impeaching with prior inconsistent statement under oath at a trial.
And that's fine, but I would do it in this framework of prior inconsistent statement. Didn't you say at such as, didn't you say?
And just ask specifically about the question.
Correct.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It can be, was this question asked and this question answered?
I think the proper way is to say to the witness, isn't it true, or something to that effect, isn't it true that at the prior hearing you said?
Isn't it true at this prior hearing that you said it was not unusual for gas cans to be left by the front porch, where they'd be picked up, put into a vehicle, taken to the station so that it could be filled up? And your answer was yes. Isn't that true?
That is what it says, yes.
Okay. You know, it says that, and that answer was given to that question because it was the truth, as you just told us. True?
Like I said previously in the answer, depending, there would be circumstances.
But then when you ask a specific question, just a little bit further, it wouldn't be unusual to have these by the front porch. And your answer was yes.
Yes, it would be unusual.
Am I right?
I did say yes.
Okay. And you did say yes because you were under oath to tell the truth.
Yes.
And you did tell the truth.
I think it was a complicated question with layers, and I was instructed to give a yes or no answer.
Well, I don't want to belabor the point, but it was just so the gas cans could be picked up, put into a vehicle, taken to the station so that they could be filled up, right? You weren't told to answer yes or no.
Correct.
Okay. Now your dad, he worked obviously around the farm too, right?
Sure.
But your mom, she loved that house and she loved the whole property, her being a horse, I'm gonna say fanatic, horse lover.
She certainly loved her horses.
Okay.
The way
she didn't think of the house as just someplace to live, did she?
I couldn't tell you how she felt about it.
Well, let me direct your attention to that other testimony on this little binder. And turn to page 27. Line 15.
Get a little ASMR today. Thank you for the shuffle.
You did know at that time that she cared about the house, right?
Your Honor, I'm going to object again. If he wants to ask him to refresh his memory, or he wants to ask about a prior inconsistent statement instead of reading testimony, and I prefer he follow the proper procedure.
Your Honor,
At this time, he is following the proper procedure for prior inconsistent statements, so I will overrule.
Okay. You did say that your mom cared about the house.
I said she cared about it. I don't know to what extent.
Okay. The construction of the house, there was actually a fair amount of unfinished stuff, as you've called it before.
At what point?
Close to the time of the fire.
Like I said, I believe it to be about 95% completed. The decking on the outside was not completed, though.
Well, you said there was no ceiling in the basement, right?
Right.
So that would have been exposed beams, floor joists.
I believe there was not a ceiling in that room at that point. I can't recall.
Well, if we go to your statement in that,
sure.
When you gave that in September 7, about 8 months after the fire.
Can you direct me to a page?
Yep, I'm going to turn your attention to page 25 at the end. To page 26, line 7.
You said 26, line 7?
Yes. Does that jog your memory about the condition of the ceilings in the basement?
Yeah, that would seem accurate. There wasn't drywall on the ceiling at that point, and I don't think it was meant to be drywalled.
It was open rafters, right?
Yes.
There was no ceiling in the basement.
Okay.
I just want to make sure you and I are clear, right?
Sure.
Okay.
And
as everybody has told us, the entire living room floor was OSB subflooring.
May I clarify a little bit there? There were rooms in the basement with ceilings.
Understood. We heard some bedrooms.
Sure.
But generally in that whole living rec room area, it was subflooring. I mean, it was floor joist.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that would seem accurate.
Okay. And as we talked about in the living room, it was nothing but subfloor OSB, that press board with some throw rugs.
Yeah, very large area rug.
Okay.
And probably a hearth in front of the fireplace.
Hearth?
So there was, and I'm not talking about trim finishes, there was exposed wood in the first floor main living room area, not just carpentry and trim, right?
Exposed wood on the ceilings?
Not on ceilings, just in general, with bay windows and that kind of thing.
The windows were framed and finished.
That's your recollection?
Yes.
I'm saying it's a hearth.
When you gave testimony in September of 2007, Linda Stermer had a lawyer, right?
When I gave testimony in 2007?
Yes, in this little hearing, that we
The deposition?
Yes, deposition.
Okay.
You met with the lawyer, right? His name was Jeff Getting. Do you remember that?
Okay.
Do you remember that?
I don't specifically remember a conversation with Jeff Getting at that point in time.
Do you recall him telling you, just tell the truth? The most important thing is to tell the truth. Do you remember that?
I don't recall him saying that.
Let's look at page 31. Toward the bottom, line 23. You let me know when you're there.
Reading it now.
Okay. All the way to line 9 on the next page.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. This is hearsay, what the conversation was with Mr. Getting.
One, it's not offered for the truth. It was directive. And he's already testified. I'm just asking to refresh his memory. I'm going to ask him if he now remembers anything.
I want to sustain that objection on hearsay.
Okay. Let me ask you, regardless of what Mr. Getting said, you knew enough to tell the truth at that age?
As I said for the deposition, there was a few things that she wanted us to be on the same page about.
Okay. So you would have intentionally lied under oath?
I wouldn't necessarily, I wouldn't say that, no.
Okay. I want to talk to you about the January 7th that morning. You got up around 11 o'clock, 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning?
No, I was up earlier that morning.
Okay. Let me show you. Did I give you a statement? Oh, I did, right, from the police report. The one that we talked about you gave to the police?
Okay, is that the 2009?
Yep, October 2009.
October 2009, okay.
Okay. You said you woke up about 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
Did you tell the police officer on page 1 that you woke up between 10 and 11 a.m.?
I don't recall telling him that, no.
Any reason to think that this police officer got it wrong since you told us just now you told him the truth?
Your Honor, I'm going to object speculation.
I'm just asking if he knows.
That's sustained.
Okay. You were given $20 for food by your mom?
My brother Corey was.
Okay. But you also, you boys had their own money, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't mind going to the mall because you said there's nothing to do in Lawrence, especially for teenagers, especially on Christmas break.
I did not want to go that morning, no.
Okay. There was nothing super secret about your mom having you kids go to the mall that morning, was there?
I think it was meant to be secretive, yes.
Okay. Well, let's look at this hearing again. At page 19. Let me know when you're there.
Is this the hearing or the deposition?
This is that one in the binder, the deposition.
Okay. Page 19?
Yep. And then go to line 20. I mean, page 20. At the top. See that?
Is there a line you're directing me to?
Yes, sir.
I didn't catch that.
Lines 4 to 6.
Lines 4 through 6 on page 20.
That's correct.
Okay.
Were you asked the question, so there was nothing super secret about getting out of the house and going to the mall? And your answer was no. That was your answer under oath, right?
It appears so.
When you swore to tell the truth, right?
I would assume.
Yeah. And you did tell the truth, right?
That's not how I recall it at this point.
You also said it was very rare. Did you say it was very rare for your mom's purse and your dad's wallet to be in the cars?
I don't believe I said that.
Today?
You just this morning. You were asked. Remember, you were asked questions about purse and wallets being in cars, and was that common? You said no. Remember that?
I think that's a mischaracterization of the testimony from earlier.
Do you remember what you said?
I don't believe that question was asked this morning.
Was it common, or I should say, was it not uncommon for a purse and a wallet to be left in the car, given you're in a rural area?
My dad would have likely left his wallet and potentially keys in his work van.
Yeah. But not your mom.
I can't say.
Yeah, well, if we look at page 2 of that police report you gave, should be. I hope there's a highlighted second paragraph. Is there?
There appears to be.
Okay. And in that paragraph, you told the police officer that it was not uncommon for his parents to leave their wallet or their purse in vehicles outside. Remember that?
That is what's said, yes.
And that's, you told us you would have told the truth. True?
True.
Because he's a police officer trying to do his job, right?
I would assume so.
Yeah. You said it'd be highly unlikely for the gas tank to be full in the Blazer. Do you have a specific recollection sitting here in 2025 when you went to the mall of the level of the gas in the Blazer?
My older brother was driving that morning, but it would have been very strange to see a full tank of gas.
It certainly wasn't completely impossible, right?
Nearly.
You were the front seat passenger, right?
I know I was the front seat passenger on the way back, at least. I don't recall on the way there.
Your mom had told you on the way out, just come back when you're done from the mall, right?
No, she did not.
Okay. Well, what did she tell you?
She had instructed us that we were to go to the mall and that we had to go see a movie after the mall. Okay. I didn't want to see the movie. I had already seen the movie.
Understood. But she didn't tell you, I want you out of here until dinner time or 5 o'clock or anything like that, right?
She wanted us gone at minimum 4 hours.
Can we turn to that binder?
Sheila in New York, welcome to the gallery. You're one of us now. You can never leave.
Page 16, line 8.
Good to have you here.
And you were asked the question, was there any discussion with your mom about when you needed the Blazer back or how she'd come to get it or anything like that? Your answer was, I think she just said, come back when you're done. Then you were asked, so it wasn't a specific time. You didn't have any plans that afternoon. Your answer was no. Was that true when you gave that testimony under oath?
Yes, that was true. As I said, we were instructed to go to the mall, then to lunch.
Your Honor, no
I
question.
apologize.
Move to strike non-responsive. You said you saw your dad on the couch, is that right?
Correct.
And then you said he was sleeping, and I think you added something, right?
What did I add?
Well, he was sleeping as far as you knew, right?
Yes.
Okay. Like usual, right? Because he always slept on the couch. Take naps.
It wasn't common. He could have taken naps on the couch.
It was not common?
I don't recall.
Okay. If we go to page 14
thing.
on this.
What page?
14, sir.
Sure.
Line 25 to the next page at line 4. All the way to line 15, line 4. You see that?
Laura Bronson, thanks for gifting 5 memberships.
Page 14, line
25.
Line 25.
To 15, line 4.
Okay.
He was like laying on the couch, taking a nap like usual. True?
Yep.
And you didn't know what he was wearing, and you didn't really know where he was sitting, right?
I know where he was laying, yes.
Okay. But you didn't know what he was wearing because you were getting kind of rushed out of the house, fair?
I did not see what he was wearing.
You asked some questions about domestic violence. You know, did mom hit dad? Did dad hit mom? You remember that?
When was I asked?
This morning.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. You said you never heard dad hit, or you never saw dad hit mom. You remember telling us that?
Yep.
Did you hear dad hit mom?
No. I know there was allegations, but that I had physically witnessed, no.
Okay. Or heard?
Or heard, no, I wouldn't be able to hear.
But they never hit you, the boys, right? Mom and dad never hit the boys.
No. Not out of anger. I would have been disciplined, but.
Okay. It was hold on.
Anti-Bev suspenders.
A little bit more.
Hashtag free Karen Reed. Gifted 1 membership.
Talking about the family relationship, everybody was close. You were equally close to mom and dad, true? Growing up.
Did you say equally close?
Yes.
No, I was my dad's son.
We go back to this testimony again. On page 14, line 20.
Okay.
Deanie Mullis Diver.
And that would be line 20 to 22.
The gifting continues.
You weren't closer to mom or dad, equal as far as you were concerned, and the answer was yeah. See that?
That's what it says, yes.
And that's what it says when you're under oath and answer to that question, right?
Okay. I was far closer to my dad.
Even though you swore to tell the truth then?
Yes.
And if your parents were to split up, you said it was just kind of too close to call who you're going to live with, right?
That's what I had said here.
Under oath when you were sworn to tell the truth.
I think it was irrelevant. My dad was dead at that point. Linda was all I had left.
But you were just asked a question about if they had split up before the fire, who you're going to live with, and you said it's just too close to call.
Yeah, I would have absolutely lived with my dad.
Okay. And you said this was maybe the worst argument the night before or that morning that you ever heard them, Mom and Dad, have?
Yeah, this was the worst argument.
Okay. You sure it just wasn't a medium type argument where
no.
Dad was yelling more than louder than Mom?
It was the worst argument that we had witnessed.
Okay. If we go to page 13, line 13 to 17, see that?
Yep.
Did you tell that lawyer under oath that the argument was, in terms of level, was medium, I guess?
That's what it says here, yes.
Yeah. Give me just 1 second, Your Honor. You said you tried to talk to your mom a lot about the fire afterwards?
Did I say that I tried to talk to her a lot about the fire?
Did you?
Is there an instance you're referring to, or just in general, like over the next few years?
Yeah, just in general over the next 2 years.
I would bring it up, yes. I wanted clarification on some things.
If we turn to page 22. Line 6 to 14. You there?
I'm here.
Okay. You never actually asked anybody. You testified under oath. You remember that? Including your mom.
Can you repeat that?
Sure. You never asked anybody, including your mom, about the fire you testified to.
I have asked details of that day.
Okay. But under oath you said no.
Can you repeat which line that is?
Sure. Just really quickly. Line 6 to 14. You said you never actually asked anybody. Your mom, the police, anybody? Not that I remember. True?
To the initial question, how the fire started?
Yes. And then you were asked, have you ever asked? And you said, I never actually asked anybody. Those were the questions you were asked and the answers you gave under oath, right?
Yep.
And they were true because you were under oath.
She gave me her version, and I wanted to believe that to be true.
Okay. The shed, the stuff that was stored in the shed, we've seen pictures of gas cans. There were some gas cans. What was stored in the shed generally?
It was a workshop area for my dad. There was a very large deep freezer that took up one side of the shed.
Freezer, what else?
Freezer, traps, hunting equipment, decoys. Hunting equipment like decoys. My dad was an avid duck hunter, also whitetail.
And you said, I think I heard you right this morning, you don't recall finding a box of photos or anything in the shed after the fire.
I don't recall. I wasn't allowed near the property.
Immediately after the fire?
No.
Like within a few weeks, months?
It took at least a month and a half before I was able to go back on the property.
When you did go back on the property, you remember being with Steve and Tina Benny?
They may have been there with Linda.
Okay. And you were going through stuff, trying to hopefully find some stuff that was important to you?
Yeah.
And important to the family?
Yep.
Okay. You just don't remember any details of that. Am I right? Finding anything in the shed, a box of pictures or anything?
It was rubble. I found little trinkets in the ashes, or...
I'm talking about the shed.
The shed, I can't think of anything specifically that I would have pulled out of there.
Okay. And you don't recall being told by either mom or dad to take pictures out to the shed and put them in there?
Into the shed, yes, or the storage area with the overhang?
You asked about the shed.
The shed.
Yeah. Or the storage area, wherever it was. You don't recall being asked by mom or dad?
To bring pictures from the house out there?
Yes.
No, I don't.
Okay. And then finally, I just want to, one more time real quick with this vehicle. It's a Chevy Blazer. You're either in the front on the way back. You're in the front on the way back. You don't know if you're front and back on the way down, right?
Correct.
It's about 32 degrees. You remember being cold? It's January in winter.
May have been closer to 40 when we left.
Okay. In winter in January, the windows would have been up, right? Do you have that memory?
I don't recall if we had the windows down at any point.
Do you recall there being any strong, unusual odor in the vehicle?
I don't recall one way or another.
Certainly, if something was stinking up the car, you probably remember that, right?
Yes, Your Honor, speculation.
You've been in the car.
Oh, allow for crossing.
Thank you. If there was something stinking up the car, you'd remember it.
I can't say.
You smelled gasoline before, obviously, right?
I have.
You know it's a strong, pungent odor.
I'm aware of what gasoline smells like.
Okay. Have you ever had gas in your car before? Like just from filling up a gas can?
Yes.
All right. It smells, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Give me 1 second to consult, Your Honor.
It's interesting that Linda sits there and cries through some of this testimony and then provides questions for the cross-examination to the lawyer. Let's see how they end this one.
When you did find stuff when you were rummaging around trying to find valuables, you said you found trinkets?
Sure.
I just want to know.
I don't recall any specific thing.
Like baseball cards? You were a baseball card collector like I was when I was your age?
I had a very large collection of cards.
Did you find any cards?
I did not.
Do you know if anybody did?
Linda had given me a stack of cards that she said that Benny, I believe.
Steve?
Yep. Her 2 friends had found.
Okay.
They were given access to the property and were going through it much more than I was able to.
Thank you, sir, for your time.
Yes, sir.
Again.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to clarify a couple of things. You said there were layers to your answer about why a gas can would be on the front porch. Can you talk about what you meant by that?
I felt at the last time I was giving a testimony, I was instructed to give yes or no answers to complex questions that weren't quite that black and white.
So you were not able to answer them fully?
Right. I was prompted to give a yes or no answer.
And were you able to ever explain that question or that answer?
No.
And how would you explain it today?
I couldn't think of any reason that there would be a gas can laying in the front or up at the front. I really think it was uncommon that it would have been. We had designated areas that we would have kept gas cans.
So those were the layers you were not able to explain?
Yes.
When you said it was usual for your dad to be taking a nap on the couch. Was it usual that he took naps? Was it usual for that time of day?
I felt it was not the most common thing, but their argument had gone late into the night, and I didn't think it was weird that he would have been taking a nap. But the fact that he didn't wake up when we were leaving, I thought that was very uncommon for him. And as I said, he would have wanted us to know where we were going. He would have wanted us to tell him where we were going.
So that part wouldn't have been usual.
Right. Very unusual.
When you were asked about going to the mall and to the movie, you said that you felt you needed to be gone for a minimum of 4 hours. Why did you say that?
The way that she had discussed it that morning, because I didn't want to leave. I remember trying to get to my dad. That was one of the biggest reasons that I was trying to make my way to him, was because I knew if I was able to talk to him, he would say I could stay home that day. I didn't want to go. But she had framed it as, I said, can we just go to the mall and do what we have to do, make our returns, make a couple purchases? No, you have to go to the mall, you need to go to lunch, and you need to go to the movie theater after that.
And that's why you said it felt like a minimum.
Yes.
In 2009, you said you were living at an apartment.
October of 2009, yes.
October of 2009. Were you going to school?
I was.
Still relying on Linda financially?
At that point, I believe we had distanced ourselves from her.
Do you still need her help? For school aid or anything?
I don't believe so.
Did you feel that you still had to comply with her instructions on what to say?
No.
Not at that time?
No.
When did you feel that you had to say things according to her instructions?
Certainly when we were living with her. The first deposition, as I said, there was a few things that she wanted to make sure we were on the same page with. And the 2 years after the fire, we were still living with her. So, like I said, we just felt very isolated. The only information we were getting was from her. If other people brought information to us that was contrary to what she was telling us, she would try to cut off those relationships and just keep us isolated and let her narrative be the only one that we heard.
So you only knew what she told you?
Right.
During some of these interviews that you did with insurance or court hearings, did you withhold facts?
It's likely, yes.
When you were instructed to give yes and no answers, were you able to tell details?
No, absolutely not.
Did you feel free to start elaborating?
I did not.
Would you ever use the 1 gallon gas can to fill that large tractor?
No.
One of the areas that you said Linda instructed you specifically to talk a certain way about was the arguing. Is that correct?
Correct.
Would that be the extent of the argument?
Yes. She wanted us to downplay the severity of it.
You started to kind of talk a little bit about how Linda felt about her horses. Can you tell me how she talked about them?
It was like that was all she cared about. She would have anywhere from 20 to 30 horses at a time, and they would be kept at various properties so that my dad wouldn't find out how many we actually had. It was always a sore subject in our family because it was just turned into an obsession that was draining our family financially.
Did you spend a lot of time with those horses?
Quite a bit, yes.
Did you love those horses?
Yes.
Did Linda, before any of those depositions or hearings, did Linda ever say, I just want you to tell the truth?
No.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. I want to make sure we are all clear on this timeline. When you spoke to the police in October of 2009, you weren't living with Linda anymore. True?
Correct.
And you were not under her, I'm going to say, control. True?
Correct.
And I think, weren't you 18 by that time?
Yes.
Okay, so you're a grown adult, making your own decisions. True?
For the most part, yes.
Okay. And you told us you spoke the truth to the officer, so whatever the report that we talked about, when I showed you those sections, that was the truth, right?
I would have wanted to be truthful with the officers.
And when you gave testimony in January of 2010, you were not living with Linda Stermer.
Correct.
You weren't under her control.
No, I was not.
You were a grown man.
Yes.
And you swore to tell the truth in a court just like this, probably in this courthouse, and you told the truth.
Yes, sir.
So when I've shown you those sections from that testimony in 2010, that was the truth, right?
I certainly want to be truthful.
Okay. You said it was your habit to say bye to Dad, right?
To say goodbye to my dad, yes.
Yeah. But you didn't talk to him this time. He was sleeping. You knew he was sick, had been sick, right?
He may have been on the mend. He had an ear infection prior to the fire. I think he was on the mend.
In any event, you didn't talk to him and you didn't wake him up because he was sleeping. Fair?
I would have woken him up.
But you didn't, right?
I was stopped.
And finally, this idea of, you were asking questions right now about not wanting to go to the movie. One of your good buddies is Steve Dunn. He's the guy who called you about the fire from when you were in the theater, right?
Yes.
And you hang out with him all the time.
Yes.
With your brothers too, right?
Correct.
And you were both, all three, the brothers were close, right?
My brothers and I were all close?
Yes.
For the most part.
As brothers, sure you fight, but as brothers you loved each other and were close.
Yes.
That there were plans to go to the mall the next day, the Sunday of the fire, that you had been making with Steve Dunn. You remember that?
That we were to include Stephen?
Yeah.
As in he was supposed to come with us?
You had been making plans the Saturday night, which would have been the 6th, right? Fire's Sunday the 7th.
I follow that timeline, yes.
Okay. On the 6th with your buddy Steve. Was he your buddy or Corey's buddy?
He was Corey's age, but we all hung out together.
Okay. You all hung out on a regular basis because, like you said, not a whole lot to do in Lawrence.
I wouldn't say that.
This is on a Sunday, this is on a Saturday, you were making plans, but then Stephen didn't want to go.
I don't recall him being invited.
Okay. Give me 1 sec.
pound the mic with your papers. That's not ASMR, by the way. What you looking for? Maybe it's on your big yellow legal pad. See what's wrong with it.
In this examination you gave, on page 9, line 19, to line 24, you let me know when you're there.
Okay.
Okay. You and your buddy Steve and your brother would just usually go out because there's nothing to do around there. Lawrence, where you live. Fair?
I don't see any reference to Stephen.
Well, we would just usually go out because there's nothing to do around there. The point is, you go out and hang out at malls and stuff like teenagers do.
We would go to the mall periodically.
Okay. During that summer of 2009, where were you staying? In Macedonia?
The summer of 2009?
Yes. After Mom had been charged?
No, not Macedonia.
Were you living with your aunt or were you living with your grandma?
I believe I stayed with my grandma for a short while before moving into the Arboretum there.
I don't have any more questions for you. Thank you for your time, sir.
Yes, sir.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Jury, do you have any questions of this witness, anyone? Okay, I see several hands going up.
Hands go up. Mic goes off. I think you did pretty well. I can see why they use him as a closing witness. While they're deliberating, I want to show you something really quickly. I think it's on. Let's see. It's on 7. While they're talking things over, what does she say here? So watch your mouth very carefully. I'm going to play it at like 80% speed.
So what?
We don't want the sound. Let me play it full speed again. Hang on. Full speed. I think she says it was more than that. It was more than that. Is that something she said during the direct when the prosecution said she gave you $20 to go to the movies? She's like, it was more than that. That's what I got out of it. When was the okay given for the first trial to be brought up so nonchalantly? Probably, Angela, when the state brought it up first through questioning the first 2 times. When the witnesses mentioned it the first 2 times in response to the state's in-depth probing about that time period. I think that's why it was allowed. Basically, the state opened the door. The defense opened the door. The state is not going to... You can't bring in... It's like, well, she was convicted, so she should be convicted again. It is what it is. Yeah, why would she fight about the $20? Why is that? Oh, more questions coming in. One more time. We'll play it one more time. Watch the mouth. Oh, sorry. I need to rewind to the beginning. I don't know. Somebody tell me what she said. Lots of questions. Hopefully we can get all of them answered. Want to hear the audio before. I had turned the audio off so we could just focus on this. But okay, here we go.
You to go to the movie?
She said that her and my dad might continue to argue, and she didn't want us to hear that.
Did she give you any money?
She gave my oldest brother, Corey, $20.
So what did...
There was. There's the context. Jury asks the best questions they do. They're fighting over it here. Lots of discussion. It was more than that. Like, why would that be the thing? Why is she correcting him on that? Because there are so many times where he's made things where she has not mouthed any words. It's 25 at least. You can see the M and the T. She said, "Bring me a Big Mac." No, she didn't. No. $20 doesn't go far, even back then. That does not. Okay. Does the judge have two piles of... I think she has two piles of those to be asked and those not to be asked. Is there a video and she says she was his mom? Let me pull that up. It's gonna be at the very beginning of this one when he first took the stand after the break. Okay, we'll cut to it. I'll just watch. Audio's on from live. We're not going to miss anything. Here's how it went down.
Thank you, Ms. Ayden.
Thank you, Your Honor. Trevor, did you know Todd Stermer?
Yes, I did.
How'd you know him?
He was my dad.
And do you know Linda Stermer?
Yes, I do.
How do you know her?
She was my mother.
And in 2007, at the time of the fire, how old were you?
That was crazy, huh? She was my mother. Very deliberate. Back to live now. I think looks like we're about to some questions
from the jury. No objection from counsel. There is one question I've determined under the law not to ask, but I am asking the others. Did you or your brothers have Linda's second cell phone?
That's the same question the other brother got asked.
I don't believe we would have had possession of that cell phone at any point.
At any the day you left to the mall and movie?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Were pictures ever hung on the walls after you moved in?
A few, not very many.
Did the baseball cards look as if they had been in a fire, or were they in perfect condition?
Oh.
They looked like they had smoke damage.
About what time was the last time you heard your dad's voice the morning of the fire?
There was the argument around 9 o'clock. At around 10 o'clock, I think it was silent upstairs, and that was the last I heard him.
Okay. Did you ever receive money from insurance to replace your lost things?
No, I did not.
When you drove the tractor, did you ever fill it with gas or diesel fuel?
It used gas fuel.
And some of these are kind of repetitive, but I will ask them again. The baseball cards you received, were they yours from prior to the fire?
The jury.
They were my baseball cards.
Jury got
it was
the
only
impression.
a small fraction of my collection, and if seemed as though somebody had gone through and picked out the better ones.
Okay.
Oh. That's harsh.
And again, were they damaged by smoke, water, etc.? If not, where were they found, if you know?
There were yellowing. I was very meticulous about how I kept my card collection. I'd put them into penny sleeves and then to top loaders, and then I had a large case that I kept all of my cards in. When I received the cards from Linda, there was only a fraction of my collection, and there was smoke damage, but they were intact. There was, by smoke damage, I say all the penny loaders were yellowed and looked like smoke.
Okay. What film were you supposed to see? Was there a specific showtime?
I don't know if we were told to see a specific film. The film that we ended up watching was called Aragon, and the showtime was 2:40. I know that because I still have a ticket stub in my possession.
Where were any firearms or ammunition stored?
My dad had a gun safe, actually in the furnace room. Under the stair there was a large area where he kept his guns and ammunition.
Is your perception of the truth today different than your perception of the truth at the time of the fire and previous interviews?
I have a very clear memory of what happened that day as I sit here today. Everything I've said I believe to be truthful.
What was the typical use for a 1-gallon gas tank on your property?
Great question.
I don't recall any specific use for a 1-gallon tank.
Around what date did you start calling your mother Linda?
Before the first time I testified, June of 2009 was the year I graduated, and she was charged in that same time frame, so June of 2009.
Please refresh. Where was your dad the day of the fire in the living room?
He was laying on the couch right under the bay window area. His head was facing towards the south of the house.
Okay, thank you. Counsel, any questions in light of those questions and answers from the jury or from the witness?
Did you have your own cell phone at that time?
I did.
And did your brothers have their own cell phones too?
Corey definitely did. I'm not sure about Trenton, but I think it was likely.
And so any phones that your parents had, they would then have them?
No.
I'm sorry, any phones that your dad and Linda had, you wouldn't have been carrying?
No, absolutely not.
And I just want to clarify the question that you were asked about perception of truth. Did you testify and go into those depositions with the idea of trying to mislead?
I wanted to be as truthful as possible. When Linda told us to say it was a chimney fire, I wanted to believe that to be true. So that was my perception of truth at that time.
So your perception is you were trying to believe what you were being told?
Yes.
So today when you sit here, you're telling us what you believe to be true, correct?
Absolutely.
What you were told by Linda was true, is that correct?
Objection.
Can you rephrase? That's confusing.
Sorry. So today you're telling the jury what Linda told you to say.
Objection, form, leading.
It is leading. Stay.
What type, when you're sitting here today, are you testifying today from your memory?
Yes.
Does your memory include statements Linda made?
Somewhat, yes.
And your memory includes what you remember?
Absolutely, yes.
I don't have any further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
The cards, the baseball cards that you got back, you said they looked like they had smoke damage.
Yes.
I mean, they looked like they'd been in a fire, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Catherine.
And you don't, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't know if you were specifically going to see a movie. You ended up seeing Aragon, was the movie?
We saw Aragon, yes.
Okay, but you had been at the mall buying stuff.
Right.
Right? So you're just at the mall, and then you just, whatever, as a group, decided we're going to go see the 240 show, Aragon.
I think my brothers wanted to see that, and the time lined up with after we were finished at the mall there.
You recall you even bought an American Eagle shirt at the mall?
I did, yeah.
All right.
I do recall that.
So it wasn't a direction, we are going to the mall to see this movie at this time. That's just how it happened to work out. Fair?
That's fair.
Okay. This question about your perception of the truth then versus now, you knew what the truth was then, true?
During the deposition, I did not know what the truth was.
In 2009, when you talked to, and you weren't under oath when you talked to the police officer in October 09, but you still told the truth, right?
My perception of truth in 2009, I still, like I said, I was isolated. I had just stopped living with Linda, and I hadn't learned of hardly any details. Felt like I was living under a rock with everything that emerged.
Did you just tell us about 20 minutes ago when I was asking you questions that you were a grown man in October of 2009, not under her control? Did you tell me that?
Yes.
And so you knew the truth, what the truth was at 18 years old, right?
I knew what I believed to be true, and that's what I testified to.
Okay. And when you testified at that hearing in this courthouse in January 2010, your perception of the truth was you knew what the truth was and how to tell the truth under oath, right?
Yes, I would want to tell the truth under oath.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Jury, any other questions? I've got one more question coming in.
Okay, let's see if this is a clarifying question from a previous one from a juror, or if it goes in a new direction. But we are very, very, very close to the state resting their case, which does happen to coincide with lunchtime, which means that we'll probably end up after this taking a quick lunch and coming back to the defense first witness. And who will they call? Pretty sure Linda's not going to take the stand. Did they call their fire expert first? Did they call the daughter? I think Wolfgang may practice the "you can't handle the truth" lines in front of the mirror. You can't handle the truth. We need a truth counter. You have to go back and start at the beginning.
Sir, more questions? No objection from counsel. Did you always store your baseball cards in your room? And if not, where?
As I said, my dad had just completed my bedroom. I know the day before the fire, I was shuttling things between rooms, moving all of my possessions up into my room. I was really excited to have my own room for the first time. Probably half of my collection was in my room. The other half would have been in my brother's at that point.
Did the penny sleeves show signs of heat damage?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Counsel, any more questions in light of those questions and answers?
Half your collection was upstairs in the loft, am I right?
A good portion of it was upstairs in the loft. I know my Pokemon cards were up there. My Pokemon cards, which would have been much more valuable today.
And then the other half was downstairs in the basement where Corey and Trenton were living.
The collection in question, I know to be in a specific case that I had, and that would have been still in my brother's room.
Okay, in the basement.
Yeah, I didn't receive the whole case, just a portion of them.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Excused from his subpoena, counsel?
I'd ask that you please be excused, Your Honor.
No problem, Your Honor.
Thank you. So you're all done. You're excused from your subpoena obligations as well. And jury, we'll take our lunch break. I'm sorry it's late. We'll take a lunch break until 1:45. Back to the jury room. Remember the rules. No discussions, no media, no social media, research or experiment.
All right. So while the jury steps out, there may be a little bit of some motions here. I think it's just going to be it's going to be preserve the record. This is it. But normally at this point, the state makes a motion for judgment of acquittal, saying the state hasn't proved their case. Of course, the state has to rest here, but we'll see if they handle it right now or if they do it before the break. Maybe they'll do it off camera. Or maybe the defense just, actually the state has proved their case. We're just not going to file that motion. So I think the state has laid out a very strong case. The only thing that
Are there any matters we'll need to address in the break?
Only that after the break, Your Honor, we'll be resting. So I just wanted to let the court know that.
Okay. And then will you be going?
We'll be going right after the likely on talk. We may likely bring a motion for directed verdict.
Okay.
Motion of directed verdict.
Maybe we could do that. Maybe we could all come back earlier then, so the jury's not.
That's kind of why I wanted to let the court know.
Okay.
We only need a couple minutes.
Does that work with you? That she can.
So 1:45.
Yeah, 1:45. Maybe come back at 1:25. 1:30.
1:30?
1:30. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay, they're coming back at 1:30, which means we will as well. Do I have my numbering off on these? Did I add an extra day to this trial for some reason? I'm showing day 7, so we're going to come back at 1:15. Maybe we're coming back at 1:25. How about that? That'll give us plenty of time. All right, the new thumbnail is up. We'll portal over to it. Thank you for the likes. It looks like we have 1,200 likes, which is great. We love to get over that 1,000 mark. Thank you, one and all. Come on, where's the, there we go. Building the link, redirect, boom to that, save. Okay, we're done. All right, when we come back, the state is going to rest. I think they finished strong with the 3 sons that all are testifying for the state against Linda. Inconsistencies, they're there, but a lot of it can be excused, I think, and the jury may excuse based on the age of the boys. I mean, they were teenagers. The last one was, an adult at the time. He was 18, but it's still in a sheltered sort of upbringing and not really. The defense likes to say, "You're a grown man. You're 18. You can serve the country." Yeah, that's great. But your upbringing can definitely put you in a different position at age 18 than somebody else who's a grown man and lives on their own at age 18. I think the latter was not the case in this situation. I updated the pretend thumbnail with the newest word. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Red. We'll see if we can handle that one when we come back. Please remind me. I'll see if I can load it up. The new stream is up, and Greener's probably already won the internet. There's a good chance. There's a good chance. The portal is set up. We are good to go. So all I need to do is find the right music and hit the right button. And like that, we can do it. Josh says, I randomly found something to send to mod chat. Let me randomly take a look at it. I'll look at it on lunch. We might spin that one up. All right, I'm all by myself, so I've got to scrounge around. I think if I dig in the freezer, there's a microwave meal somewhere. Maybe some old noodles, freeze, just throw in the microwave and cook. Maybe I'll put some Sticker Mule branded mule sauce on them to give it a little spice. Lunch is gonna be boring. Tonight, when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better. And please stay safe till we go live again at 1:25. We're basically 40 minutes or so from right now. Or 40, yeah. I think 40 minutes, that's about right. It's going to be quick. We'll see you guys after lunch. Make you some grits. I don't even know how to make grits. I live in the South, but I never had them. Okay. All right, have a good lunch, guys. We'll see you. Bye-bye.